It's a bright morning. Welcome to the AM News here on the AM Show. My name is Pakwesi Shandop. To a very first story, Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Ifeyi Akoto, has set up an interministerial committee to prevent the smuggling of grains from the country. This follows a JoyNews investigative piece on the smuggling of soybeans to Togo at Tripoli by Guinean farmers. According to the minister, the committee, drawn from National Security, Trade and Industry and the local government ministries, will ensure strict measures are followed to prevent the activities of smugglers.
Now, with these reports, and we had heard other reports before, the government of Ghana has set up an interministerial committee, of which I'm the chairman, made up of the Ministry of Interior, Defense, local government, Trade and Industry, and the rest, and the Ministry of Finance, Customs, and so on, to ensure that these directives are implemented. And by the way, it's not only Ghana. All the West African countries have put a ban. Nigeria, you can't. There's a law, a very strict law, saying that you can't, if a foreigner, go to a farm gate to buy any produce. And so it's just in response to what is happening. This committee have met, this interministerial committee. We've set up a technical committee. And the reason why we are bringing in the local government ministry is because of the district assemblies. You have to comply. The Ministry of National Security is also involved. So hence, we are going to be very, very strict and not sit at the borders to police the borders, but to go to specific markets where these things they come to buy to ensure that they are prevented from buying. So we are going to see very strict adherence to this new policy of banning, especially now that God permitting, we've had very good rains. The harvest, the new maize is already on the market. Prices are beginning to slide seasonally as we expect it to do. As more harvest comes in, prices always go down. So we are taking these measures in anticipation that the coming harvest will stay in Ghana, not only to feed our people, but also to support the poultry industry to survive and to thrive. So these are the measures that we are taking to implement the policy.
Member of Parliament for Bolibambo, Yusuf Suleimana, is lamenting the high level of insecurity in the area. According to the MP, the recent murder of an Accra-based lawyer, Richard Badombi, adds to the number of lives lost on the stretch. He attributed the high rate of criminal activities to poor network and lack of police visibility. In an interview with JoyNews, he called on the Inspector General of Police to beef up security in the area.
A very renowned lawyer from the northern part of this country murdered in that way should call for a serious concern for all of us. And I'm very happy that the lawyer fraternity have taken this issue up. It shouldn't just be only lawyers. Anytime a life is lost, let's all come together and see how we ensure that the security of our people becomes a very important matter for us. To be honest with you, my consistency has been one of the areas where you have a lot of insecurity, a lot of criminal activities taking place, and it didn't start today. Let me tell you, just a few months ago, there was this frequent murder of people and burying them in some style. You wake up and you are told that somebody has been buried halfway in around the outskirts of the town, Bole in particular. So we tried working on this, and again, issues of robbery everywhere. And I think that what happened to the lawyer is not the first time. Many lives were lost. And I share my condolences with all those.
Member of Parliament, I mean, have you engaged the police command in that area? What has been the step being taken to ensure they safeguard the lives of the people around there?
Yeah, there are very genuine cases why these things are happening there. First of all, we share a boundary with La Côte d'Ivoire. Okay. And for me, that boundary there is very porous. And so you have a lot of foreigners coming in, especially so because they come in to do galamsey business.
Many are faced with their phone batteries running low in the midst of an important call. While some will resort to battery-saving mode, others have downloaded battery-saving apps. But how do these apps keep the phone from running low, and can there be hidden dangers with these apps? On Tech Thursday, Lab FM's Kwesi Debra speaks with Professor Kester Quist Afechi of the Ghana Communication Technology.
Eric, a phone user for nearly 2 decades, was initially confronted with issues of low battery when his power bank was far away. But for some time now, he's found ways to keep up.
When it goes down, or maybe it is going down, you have, let me say, only 2 options to either reduce your power consumption by the apps, or you can use ultra battery saver, which will give you options to use apps that do not require the battery being drained.
Samuel, however, opted for an app.
You see there's a certain app on the phone called Freezer, this one. So I have freezed most of my apps. For example, AppShare, Boomplay, Jumia, Opera Mini. I have freezed it. So in case I want to use, for example, if I want to use Flash Score to know the score of certain match going on, I just unfreeze it. In a very short time, I'll get what I want. And then after I finish using that app, I just freeze it again. And if I do that, it helps me, it helps the battery and also my data.
But how do these apps help in keeping the phone going when the battery is draining? And could there be hidden dangers with these apps? Professor Kester Kwestafichi of the Ghana Communication Technology University has the answers.
So, for example, if in case you are running maybe a WhatsApp app, those applications can stop the WhatsApp app from running at the background, which means they have a higher privilege to the Android operating system. So they help in stopping those programs that are running in the background so that they can save battery. That is how they practically work. So we have a lot of people that take advantage of developing those applications and use it to have access to different levels of the application and also of the Android operating system, and use it to do so many things. Which means that if they have that access, somebody can also write a code that can send messages as you, that can make calls in the background, that can read your messages, maybe read, for example, we have certain applications that somebody can use your phone number to perform a mobile money transaction, and before you realize you are paying for it, even though the verification or the authentication is supposed to come from your end. Those applications can perform those things at the background due to their low-level access to the Android operating system. So that is how dangerous they are. So in order to make sure that you don't install the wrong ones, you have to get it from the developers of those systems themselves. For example, Google also develops software systems that are used for those activities. So when you get it from those sources, it makes it much more safer.
Reporter for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.
In the Upper West region, Bokum Municipal Director of Health, Dr. Ibrahim Shahid, says the ethnic conflict in the area has serious effects on the nutrition of the residents, especially among children and mothers. According to him, the municipality recorded 20 maternal deaths attributed to anemia in pregnancy. He's been speaking at a regional learning event held in Wa under the USAID Advancing Nutrition Project. Here's Rafiq Salam's report.
The regional learning event had participants drawn from the Upper West and Upper East regions to enhance learning among regional and district stakeholders on how to effectively plan interventions to address malnutrition and to ensuring that all sectors are involved. The project is under the USAID Advancing Nutrition Project in collaboration with the Upper West and East Regional Coordinating Councils and funded by the U.S. government through USAID. Throwing more light on the project, the National Support Manager for USAID Advancing Nutrition, Abdul Latif Omar, stated that the project has supported health authorities in 17 districts in the northern belt of the country.
You would realize that nutrition has been prioritized in these plans. When I say nutrition has been prioritized, I mean that nutrition has become a focus area. District functionaries come together and then discuss elements of nutrition and then identify these factors. How are they going to be planning for nutrition? how are we going to budget for nutrition, and how are we going to implement for nutrition, and how do we quality assure that nutrition is being implemented in the right way.
Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Damien Powiri, stated that nutrition issues account for over 60% of all problems in the country.
Ghana Health Service has a nutrition department that really takes care of nutritional needs of the population. And precisely because malnutrition really causes severe ill health and disability. And so we really are happy to collaborate with USAID and other departments to ensure that there's food security, not just its availability, but how it is prepared, how it is consumed. The value chain, is very important for longevity and healthy life.
Back here in Accra, former State Interest and Governance Authority boss Stephen Asamoah Boateng says is the only one who can lead the governing New Patriotic Party to victory in 2024. He argues his connection with the grassroots of the party and his ability to reach out to disgruntled members makes him the ideal person to chair the party. At the launch of his chairmanship campaign, Asamoah Boateng fondly called Asabi said he will ensure the empowerment of party faithfuls to play lead roles in future NPP governments.
Permit me to expand and share with you my 7 key points that I've taken all over the country, and people have administered to me that these 7 are key to our survival and to break that 8. Number 1 is that I will work to restore the party unity and strengthen the relationship between the party members and our government. That's number 1. Unity has become an overused word by most people without backing it up with any track record. I have proven track record of pulling people together to achieve a common goal. I demonstrated this during my NUS days, that's the National Union of Ghana Students, against the ruling military dictatorship. And while we were in exile in the United Kingdom in Abidjan, I helped organize the young and the elderly to push for the referendum that ushered in the 1992 Constitution. As immediate Director General of SIGA, I provided the leadership that ensured that all CEOs worked together as a team. This resulted in the creation of the Chamber of CEOs of all state entities. I promised to bring this to bear in my leadership as chairman of our great party, and I will work hard to bridge the gap between the grassroots members and our government. Party people that went into the trenches to win power must feel that our party is in government. Members must be motivated to get our morale at the highest level in order to face our opponents in the 2024 general elections. Number 2, I will work to strengthen our party structures. Each party officer must be assigned specific responsibilities with resources to deliver.
There was chaos at the Keneshi Market on Wednesday when officials of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly went there to inspect the certificates of food vendors. By law, food vendors are required to possess a health certificate which is to be renewed annually. However, at a planned re-inspection exercise of the market, many of the vendors resisted the move, leading to a chaos. Michael Papaniashale has more in the following report.
Chaotic scenes from the meat section at the Keneshi Market complex. The vendors are resisting attempts from the AMA to renew their health certificates. 2 weeks ago, when the AMA visited the place, management of the facility together with the butchers were tasked to change their dirty anti-fly nets, stop hanging their clothes indiscriminately, and to renew their health certificates.
Majority of the net, most of them were dirty. So those that were changeable, we asked them to change. Those that they could wash, we asked them to wash and tidy up the place. So it's like what we are seeing now, some of them have been changed and some have been washed. But what I'm seriously disappointed with is the order that they should not hang their used clothing within the premises that they sell. That is what they are still doing. So I'll take a decision to that as we are going on. I want to meet the leadership.
Food vendors are required to possess a health certificate which is to be renewed annually. After 2 weeks, many of them are yet to renew their cards. Furious Environmental Health and Sanitation Officer Joseph Asitanga threatens to invoke the powers of the court.
So the issue is that we are trying to reach a compromise with the leadership. Reach a compromise with them. We did not come to stop them from selling their meat. We didn't come to attack anybody here. Just a follow-up inspection to ensure that they come to do the medical screening. But now they are attacking us. They are not ready to do anything. So while they are not ready to do anything, we are going to enforce the law. And I swear that I'll bring court an injunction to this meat shop. I'll put an injunction here and nobody will sell meat here.
Mohammed Abdul Karim is the chair of the meat vendors. After hours of negotiating, he agrees to lead his men to renew their cards.
We are ready to go and do it. You see, I'm holding my card here. I'm ready to go and do that renewal. There's no problem about it. All of us will do it. Yes, we will always do it, and we will do it again.
Little by little, they begin to line up to take their test.
And when they come first, they will register their names with the AMA assistant. Then they move to the lab technician here. Then we take their blood samples and check for typhoid and Hep A. Yeah.
Isaac Edu explains the importance of this test.
Typhoid is orophycal, so when maybe the butchers have cuts on their hands or something like that, they might transmit it to the consumer. So we check if they have this typhoid or hepatitis. Yeah, that's what we do.
For now, the AMA seem to be winning the fight. The vendors have been given an additional week to ensure they renew their certificates or risk being evicted from their stores. For JoyNews, Michael Ashali, Kaneshi Market.
That's all for today's edition of the AM News here on the AM Show. My name is Pakwesi Shandov. See you same time tomorrow. But in the meanwhile, I leave you in the company of Benjamin and Benes.
Well, here we are. Thank you for staying with us. Time for the news review. And I have a surprise for you. Anyway, so we get into it. I have the Daily Graphic this morning and Business Finder. I'll be introducing two special guests. Yeah, two special guests. Look forward to that one. They're joining us for the review this morning. Why is my guest speaking when I've not asked her to speak? But it's Asamoah. Very good morning to you. Put it there. Yeah, man. Did you see my post yesterday on Facebook?
I did.
Okay, if you haven't spotted it, go there. I was up to some mischief. But we have someone else joining the conversation.
Yes, we do have Bridget Jogbenuku. She's former flag bearer of the PPP. Great to have you here, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
You're doing well.
Happy to be here.
I remember the last...
But I'm glad to be here.
Last time I interacted with Bridget was at the University of Ghana. We had this engagement at the Spanish department, Maison Française at the University of Ghana. I don't know whether you recall, but it was really great.
That was a while ago. I don't know how many years ago that was.
It's been about 2.5, 3 years.
Really?
Yeah,
not
that long.
Much longer than that. Okay.
But good to have you. Anyway, so Bernice, we're going to get into the papers together with Bridget as well. But maybe a quick take on, even as we get into some of the matters in the newspapers, we're also looking at the latest development as far as the IGP and what he wrote to the High Commission of the UK is concerned. I don't know whether you followed, but on the back of a certain Oliver Barker, former of Fix the Country, getting apprehended one more time, but this time for a traffic offense, breaching a traffic regulation. He was accosted by the police. The High Commissioner tweeted that he had been arrested again and that she would be watching what was happening. The IGP responded with a terse message. Well, maybe not so terse, but a stern message that, hey, you can't do that. We're a sovereign country and all of that. I don't know whether you followed the script and what your take is on that development.
Well, yes, I did. I mean, yesterday I was saying to myself that I should have been tweeting all those responses rather than being on Facebook because they were short and in my own kind of language, all kinds of things. You may go on my Facebook. I don't think it's public, but if you go on my Facebook wall, you'll see some of the things I said. But I saw it and I thought, well, first of all, I didn't think, in my opinion, that it was in the place of the IGP to send a response. And I think they are addressing that. As of last night, I heard that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Foreign Affairs was going to take it up. So that was a good idea. That ought to have been done before, or the IGP ought to have sent or relayed his message to the High Commissioner through the Foreign Minister. That's the best way to do it. It was terse. It was a bit. It was like, you know, using a sledgehammer on a fly, really, because it was a little tweet, and the response was over the top, if you like.
So little tweets, but people are looking at the import of the little that was put out there again, suggesting that, hey, there you are again doing your own thing, and then the other side of it being that you're watching, almost as though to say, Big Brother UK is watching, and don't you mess up.
Well, you are at liberty to read meaning into it. I mean, it is. I put one post on Facebook which said, it's a quote from Shakespeare that says, "Nothing in itself is good or bad. It's your thinking that makes it so." So it's your thinking behind her tweet that makes you think that it means this or it means that, because the tweet was really very ambiguous. And if you took it as, oh, we are watching to see if you are wrong, then you take offense at that. But if you say we are watching to see, she didn't say we are watching to see if you are wrong or if you are right, or whether you're going to, how you're going to mess up, or she didn't say anything like that. She said we're going to see, which leaves it very open to interpretation. Now it's your interpretation then that gives it the slant, which makes you respond in the manner that you respond. So for me, that is the way I saw it. It was, let's see, are you saying she shouldn't see? She's a High Commissioner, she's in the country, we work together, we work on issues of justice, we work on issues of human rights. So she can't say that she's seeing, so what is she here for and us? You know, and if she says we are watching, has she said, and if this goes wrong, we will therefore take this action on it? She hasn't said anything like that. It was a very ambiguous and open tweet. I think that it is your personal interpretation to it. And because we are all on the defensive, then, okay, she took it this way. I don't think so. Now, as I'm here and you have me, I tend to be very gender conscious. And we have had John Benjamin and the other one who used to ride the bike say and write many things.
The Australian High Commissioner.
Never been a response like this. You see, for me, I've always said that I have felt intimidated by Ghana police. And maybe this is the time for them, as a woman, and this is the time for them to redeem that image. Because the response, I have met the British High Commissioner, and it's almost as if, let's intimidate her, let's shut her up.
So you feel in this instance, the IGP went over the top because she's a woman.
That's two.
Right.
Or the response, the choice to respond to her directly, rather than channeling it through the right medium or the right office. which is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I think it was over the top. She's a representative of the Queen in the country. She's not a minister. She's not, and even a minister, it would have to be at that level. So I think, yes, it was wrong that way.
You made reference to the statement by the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Let me just bring some extracts from there. And so it reads, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has noted with concern the intense public debate that has been generated by the communication between the IGP and the British High Commissioner in Accra, in line with general diplomatic practice of communicating with diplomatic missions, preferably through direct engagement. The ministry wishes to remain circumspect on its pronouncement on the matter. We've therefore initiated contact with both the British High Commissioner and Inspector General of Police to resolve the issue at stake. And it concludes by saying, we take this opportunity to reaffirm the bonds of friendship and cooperation between our two countries. So I think on that note, we can move on to other matters now, right?
Let's quickly do so. All right,
okay,
let's look at the Ghanaian Times.
Yeah, let me start with the front page of the Ghanaian Times. And this is the big one on the front page. Supreme Court ruling, cardinal sin of judiciary, Bagbin observes. And this has to do with the case with Justice Abdullahi versus the Attorney General. Okay, and it's on page 16. Let me just bring a bit of that story, and then we can discuss the issues at stake. So, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, has stated that the ruling of the Supreme Court in the Justice Abdullahi versus the Attorney General case is the cardinal sin of the judiciary. According to him, the decision by the Apex Court not to hear Parliament before the ruling in the matter in which the voting rights of the Deputy Speaker was challenged led the court to come out with what he calls untruths. In his closing remarks at the maiden edition of the Speaker's seminal lecture in Accra, Mr. Bagbin wondered why Parliament was not contacted in the search of evidence to arrive at the ruling. And in the judgment, and this is a quote, in the judgment, the lead judge, Justice Yoni Kulendi, said things that were not a true reflection of what happened in Parliament on that day. The statement that the Speaker did not handle the Minister of Finance well, and that is what occasioned the walkout, is not borne by fact or evidence. And so clearly we are seeing here an issue of whether the Supreme Court really understood what happened on the day and leading to the judgment it arrived at. Madam Jogbenuku, I don't know what you make of this judiciary legislature issue, and also if you followed keenly the issue about the voting rights of the Deputy Speaker at the time he was presiding over that particular sitting in the House. What do you make of the judgment itself and the observation by the Speaker of Parliament?
I would say that I was a bit disappointed at the judgment. I think that it states that, or the law it states that it's open to interpretation, and I think I had this discussion with my good friends at my tennis club when it came up. It's also we're looking at it one way, I suppose. Look, with these two parties in power or alternating power, I bet that if it was the NDC in power, the ruling would go in their favor one way or other.
Are you suggesting, Bridget, that our judicial system?
You know, when it comes to the judiciary,
right?
When I'm not suggesting anything. When it comes to the judiciary, I want to be very careful because they immediately jump on you and claim that you are calling them biased. I think that there was someone a few weeks ago who actually said on air or on radio that they should be careful, and it was one of them, I think, to say not all their rulings must go in their favor or in favor of the ruling party or something like that.
Was it the National Minister?
In a case like this, I would say, you see, that is why we need a third party in Parliament. or other parties in parliament, then this, when it comes to voting, it won't be disputed so much. Now, one side is trying to get the majority when it comes to votes, and therefore we know that the presiding officer or agent in Parliament, who is the speaker at the time, has no voting right. If somebody steps into the shoes of the speaker while in his absence, he becomes speaker for me, and therefore must lose his voting rights. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of the deputy speaker when he's acting as speaker to have rights to vote.
So how do you feel we can counter this apparent bias that you make mention of? So depending on which party is in power, the judiciary will lean towards a certain angle per your view. How do you think we can counter this bias? By getting more parties in parliament?
Well, that would be one thing. That would be one thing to break this duopoly that we have, and to break this almost, there's a word for it, the two parties, this supposed hung parliament. Now, the other way it would be difficult to counter, because what I wanted to say was, what would the NDC or the minority, how would they feel if they were in the position of the majority? Would they agree with this ruling? Would they say, no, they don't want it? And this is what we should think about, because it's not so much the judiciary as much as the political parties, the two parties. But for me, and from where I'm coming from, and from what I understand, I would prefer to stick to the original understanding, where the deputy speaker, when he steps into the position of as speaker, should not have any voting rights.
Okie doke. Other stories from the Ghanaian Times newspaper, or shall we?
Yes, so let me just run through the other stories on the front page. Veep asks tax BOG to increase gold reserve to protect the country from currency fluctuation. And government to partner Zoomlion for mass quality organic fertilizer production. And lawful parliamentary procedures can't be questioned. And that's a story on page 3. And that statement was made by the Attorney General. And it's in relation to that case challenging the constitutionality of the passage of the e-levy by Parliament, saying that Parliament did nothing untoward in passing the bill into law. 3 National Democratic Congress members of Parliament, Haruna Idrisu, MP for Tamale South, Mahama Yariga, Boku Central, and MP for Tamale South, that's Haruna Idrisu, and Mahama Yariga, Boku Central MP, Okujeto Ablakwa, MP for North Tong, contend that the passage of the e-levy was unconstitutional because Parliament passed it with 136 members instead of 138 as stipulated under Article 104(1) of the 1992 Constitution. So, I mean, we all know the e-levy is in force. I don't know what you make of 1 month after the implementation of the e-levy, Mr. Gwenuku. I'm just wondering if you've been affected in any way.
Oh, yes. I work with, and now that you've given me this platform, I always advertise. I work with women in the Volta region who produce palm oil, Jumi, for me.
Okay.
And it's called Flavour if you're looking for it. And I pay them through mobile money.
Okay.
So it's costing me a little more each time I have to send them money. And so I have been affected quite painfully. For example, over the last weekend, it was end of month weekend, you're paying everybody, and we've always paid through Momo. So you can well imagine that I didn't realize that. I think cumulatively, as you send Momo, the more you are charged.
Yeah.
So that was a lot to be charged. So yes, I have been affected.
So learning
by
from
it.
that experience, have you, like other persons, developed a strategy? I mean, so there are some who say, if I have to pay 3 people 300 cedis, I'll pay one each day to avoid, to avoid paying the e-levy because your threshold is 100 cedis a day. I mean, have you come up with any strategy on how you're going to?
I wish it could be that easy, but when you are dealing with traders and women in business and rural women in business, how much is there? If you have to send them, let's say for example, 1,000 cedis or 2,000 cedis, do you start sending it 10 days before or 20 days before? You know what I mean? You can't. It's difficult. The other alternative is to risk it and put the cash in an envelope and let someone, a driver or somebody, send it to them. But it's a risk. If it doesn't get there, you lose that money. So you just buy them. So I suppose I'm paying the e-levy on risk. But you see, if it was, I mean, the NDC walked out, and this is what we got. We don't know what the alternative would have been or what would have come out of it. It was bound to happen. I think that if they had negotiated, and I don't even know if the word is negotiate, but if they had, negotiated a lower percentage, it would have been comfortable for everybody else. Would have said, yes, we'll pay it, but it's a lower percentage. 1.5
they tried that. They even opted for 0.5% to 1 at maximum. That didn't work out. The only relief we got was 0.25% because it was brought down from 1.75 to 1.5%. So that action was brought to bear. I mean, for many months, from somewhere around October, November last year till when? Somewhere around April, thereabouts, March, April, they had been, pushing and shoving. But in the end, the majority went through with the bill, making it law. And on May 1st, we had, the e-levy kicking in. So that push was there. But I just want to find out from you very quickly, since you brought in Zumi, and I got some figures from the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana yesterday on the prices of a number of items out there. It makes for interesting reading. Has the price of your Zumi shot up on the back of the latest developments? Because I am told one is now being sold in certain parts for 70 cedis, while it was 65 cedis last month. So how much do you sell your Zumi for?
Hey, I'm undercutting myself then, because my gallon is 65. So
okay.
Thank you very much.
So you're still at 65. Good to know.
I must match the market, shouldn't I?
No, please. Please keep it that way so that some of us can keep purchasing. But a quick look at the Daily Graphic newspaper. World Bank grant, $1.2 million goes to deprived schools. Education Minister. Do you know, in recent times, a certain $1.2 million became a very interesting issue. Topical. And some ministry, some service did not know about this and that. But here we are, the Minister of Education, Dr. Yawase Educhum, has said the $1.2 million World Bank grant for digital literacy will be channeled into resourcing deprived basic schools identified across the country. He said the money would be used for the provision of furniture and teaching and learning material to enhance the learning environment. Dr. Educhum added that the Ministry of Education executed the teachers' digital literacy project from its own resources as a condition precedent before the World Bank disbursed the grant. So a lot to talk about there. But Bridget, and of course we have a T-Bed conversation this morning as well, but what do you make generally of our educational system as it is in its current form? Lack of textbooks in some quarters. There's free SHS. I mean, what would be your overarching yet very straightforward assessment of education in Ghana currently? Basic level, secondary level.
Well, we've there's a lot left to be desired, if I should say so. I mean, if we start from basic, and I'm happy to hear that they're going to pump in that 1.2 million. I would like to meet the education minister. I'll take him to my SS in Afadato South District in VSEC. It's called Vehicle Secondary. It's a V, so it's VSEC.
Right.
They don't have tables, the students stand. I have pictures and I have videos, and if you want them, I'll send them to you. They stand to write their notes, to take lessons. I think it was the district assembly that donated a few tables to them maybe last month. You see, there's a video of the students knocking their furniture, their broken furniture together so they can sit on it and take lessons. So if they're going to invest, if you like, 1.2 million into furniture and into furniture first, then we will be happy. Of course, they are talking about IT as well. There is a tax, the CST tax, I think it's called, which is which is taken from electronics, imports of electronics, and supposed to go to funding IT and education. But we haven't seen that. In 2019, 2020, when we were hit by COVID and the children were in school, were at home for about a year, I had expected that they would quickly invest some of that in e-learning methods so that the schools will be up to scratch, up to date. We have fallen grossly behind, even behind countries like Kenya, African countries who have e-learning systems now. And we don't have that. And our children don't even know what laptops and computers look like. We see, for a lot of us and a lot of people in government, we don't see beyond Accra, beyond the cities. And when you go outside of the cities, you go to the places like Afajatu South, if you like, where I come from, or Panta, or, I mean, you're showing some of these pictures. We have refused to invest in our education, particularly the basic education. I mean, it was heartbreaking to hear not too long ago that even food, the feeding grant was only 97 pesos. When you break that down in dollar terms, as it is that we use that to denominate everything, how much is that? A couple of cents. Not even 15 cents. And we are feeding people who are growing, who are our future on that. How does a child learn when they are poorly nourished? How do they grow physically and mentally, psychologically, if they are poorly nourished? I mean, 97 cents, you cannot convince me that it can buy any kind of food. You're telling me we don't have textbooks. How is it that we have schools and we don't have textbooks? So you think about it and you say, listen, I mean, how much priority are we placing on our education? And yes, we have free SHS, but the basic schools have been ignored. And we must start from there. You see, yes, I can see a video playing with, they taking care of their surroundings and sanitation and things like that. And it's good that they are doing that, but they need fuel. They need the food to fuel them, to energize them, and to help them to study and to grow. So we haven't paid much attention to our education, and it's a bit heartbreaking.
Actually, so there's this bit as well I saw recently, Bernice and Bridget, where some community, in fact, the desks are all broken and everything, and I think community members are contributing, is it 50 pesos per day, trying to, get these. And it's sad. We have so many schools and the trees. But staying on the tangent of education, just very briefly to wrap. When you look at page 5 of the Daily Graphic, first flight taking migrants to Rwanda. And of course, we know of the situation of those going through the English Channel and how they are going to be repatriated with the agreement with Rwanda. But I want to tie that to the latest HPI, a high potential individual visa system by the UK government. It is basically now going to bar all professionals or of a certain tertiary educational level who would have wanted to use this visa to enter the UK and all of that. There are institutions from Europe, Asia, and all of that that are allowed, including the likes of the United States, France, China, Hong Kong, Australia, Germany, Canada, Japan, and others. But guess what? No institution from Africa is on the list, and it sparked another row, so to speak, about racism. What's your take?
Of course. I mean, if you leave us out, I haven't heard about it, and I would love to read about it and understand it better. But if you're saying Africa has been left out, certainly it's racist, and it's why would you? Is it because they don't value our level of education? And if that is it, I don't blame them, but it doesn't justify it. There are still people from Africa who have a certain level of education and are worth being taken on or being offered that opportunity. So I do agree with you that there is a racist slant to it. I mean, Africa, it's sad. It was even what was being done to us in a war-torn country like Ukraine at the time that they were leaving the country during while the war was going on. And it's sad to hear that they have made that choice. We would need to understand if there is the justification behind it. I don't, like I said, I haven't read that into it. I don't know the details of it, and I'd like to understand it better. But what is the thinking behind leaving out just this one dark continent, as they call us?
Let me go to the front page of the Daily Guide, and I'll read all the stories, then we'll focus on two. So, lightning victims still in limbo. I'm sure you may have heard of that story of a young man, 17 years, who was struck by lightning.
Right.
We are told
mysteriously,
his body was left unattended because the family, all the
superstition and everything.
Superstition associated with this, and so a fetish priest had to come and perform some rituals. Details of that story is on page 6. Bogga MP loses fight, and it's about James Jachekwesin's case and his second attempt to get rid of 3 out of 5 charges preferred against him by the Attorney General, and Accra High Court has dismissed that. Then this very interesting one, and that's what I would like us to focus on: 3 nabbed over sex video flogging. There's also the bit on police bounds, coup monga gun demo, and AG Shreds e-levy suit. Bridget, let me come to you on the sex video flogging situation. So,
has she seen the video though
of the flogging?
Right.
No.
So
I haven't seen the video of the sex video. I haven't seen the video of the flogging. I can't countenance things like that.
So this lady and her lover, we are told, filmed themselves having sex. It got leaked, and then the residents in the community decided to punish them for that. So they took them to the Wana's palace, tied them to some poles, and they flogged them. They told the woman received as many as 20 lashes.
Yes.
But
interestingly, the man received about 9 strokes, which I found rather curious.
Okay, so I was coming to that. Now, the police arrested 3 persons involved in the flogging. The youth masked up at the police station, created a lot of chaos. You're told that the police had to fire some warning shots to disperse them and arrested 18 of them. So you're looking at a situation where there are laws in a country. There are ways to execute some of these things if you think that someone has done something inappropriate. Even in Islam, I'm told that you don't visit such punishment on persons. It's an imam who must sit over the case and say you're guilty or not, and say this and this is your punishment. I don't know how you look at it from both perspectives, the legal perspective and also the gender perspective, because I also saw in that video, and I must say it was just a video, but what I saw, it appeared that the woman received more lashes than her male counterpart.
And maybe right before Bridget comes in, there's also the bit about whether the chiefs, the Wana, because it was in his palace that everything, whether they had the blessing of the traditional ruler, and they've also been invited. But over to you, Bridget, your take on this.
Well, first of all, I ask, what was their crime? What are they guilty of? Is it that they did a video, or that they had sex, or what is it? These are 2 consenting adults, I believe. They're not teenagers or children. And even children, I don't think they deserve this kind of punishment. So what was their crime? Now, when you take it from the angle of the woman was punished some more or lashed more than the gentleman, is it because she couldn't fight back? I haven't seen the video. But the point is, we keep doing this all the time. Sex. We make such a taboo of sex. But Bernice and Ben, you and I couldn't have come into this world by any other way but sex. Nobody was born into this world by any other way. Yes, these days there's artificial insemination. So if you make such a big deal of of two consenting adults having sex, is it wrong? Does that then mean that whatever comes out of sex, we who are products of that act are then wrong? So let's look at it clearly. What was their crime? Now, it said it was done in the One Nice Palace. From what I hear from the police reports, I was listening to another radio station yesterday. It said the one is saying that is exonerating him, saying he wasn't in town and he wasn't aware of what was going on. Well and good, but obviously, this is a story that has gone viral. It's probably happened before. And if it hadn't gone viral, the people would have gotten away with it. And of course, punishing the lady, whilst there are two people in this, punishing the lady a lot more than punishing the gentleman. We had cases where there was a man defiling or luring young women from the north. It was a big case. I don't know what became of that. It was several young women he had his way with. I think, was he a teacher? It was a number of years ago. I've forgotten. But why wasn't that man, for example, flogged in public? So the point is, first of all, what is their crime? And two, these are two consenting adults. Three, we are all born of this sexual act. And it is an act. This was an act between two adults. Someone I heard yesterday said it's a morality issue. You cannot prescribe morality.
But maybe in addition to morality, we have laws even governing, exposing yourself, your nakedness, your nudity publicly and all of that. We have laws bordering on these. And even if you take away the religious aspect, there are legal aspects to this, which is why you also cannot publish nude photographs of other people, spread them on social media. And all that.
From what I hear,
so can you put that context in there as well?
Who leaked the video? It was a leaked video.
Yes, but from what I hear, it is the lady in context, and if memory serves, who actually did this. That is where it gets a bit problematic.
Well, then let the law take its course, and not a bunch of people who are meting out instant justice.
I agree.
Yes, so let the law take its course, if that be the case.
Okay.
And therefore, it goes back to the question: what was their crime?
Okay, so we quickly have to wrap up on this news review, but I would just like to take, if you can, just tell me in one word what you thought when you heard about this intention to have an armed demonstration from the 4th of June.
Was it an armed demonstration, though? Was it an intention to have an armed demonstration?
Yes,
I don't know.
was. That's what the police termed it. So the organizers the organizers say that they wanted security, private security, who will be armed. And we are told by the police in that statement that the protesters themselves were also going to be armed. So I mean, what's your thinking about the intention, wanting to go to the GBC, demanding to make a televised statement to the nation on June 4th,
It sounds like 6th of January in the U.S. to me, except that in this case they asked for police, they asked for permission from the police. But if it indeed was going to involve guns and to go and make statements, and it's very replicate of June 4th, 1979, as I remember it. And
so more like a reenactment.
Possibly, yes. We are far past that, and maybe they should look for better ways of demonstrating, probably like Occupy of July 2014.
We appreciate your time this morning. Bridget Jogbenuko is former flag bearer of the PPP, and we'll be doing the news review with her, Benjamin.
Exactly. Bridget, really great to connect with you once more, and we wish you the very best of the day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So up next is sports.
Yesterday. Osman Bukhari. Let me see, who are those on target? A certain Felix Afanajan. I was happy for him.
Yes.
Mohamed Kudus was on target with the first goal.
Yep.
Afanajan with the second, and Bukhari with the third. I mean, it may not have been a very stellar performance, but it was good. We dominated, and it was a good outing to start with.
It's an improvement of what we've seen in recent times. So I think I'm getting some good vibes. That we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. I hope that what I'm seeing will happen. So Muftar Nabila has all the details coming up shortly. Do stay for sports.
Wow, thank you for staying with us, and we get into our big stories this morning with Murtala Mohammed, Member of Parliament, Tamale Central, and Dr. Dixon Adumakukisi, Member of Parliament, Anya Soto, and both of them join us for this conversation. Now, we have a number of matters we've tabled with a focus on Parliament. Has Parliament become a rubber stamp, and what Parliament is going to do when it comes to, at least per the Speaker, when it comes to police military brutalities. We're also going to be looking at the Cabinet as far as the public officers, conduct of public officers bill is concerned. We'll be bringing you details on that. But as we had our own confab in the studio, starting with Ronaldo, Messi, and Murtala, and his CR7 is the best of all time. I'm sure you agree with me.
Messi is won Ballon d'Or 7 times. They all played in the same league. Messi and Ronaldo played in the same league.
CR7.
I say Messi and Ronaldo played in the same league for 10 years.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Within the 10 years, Messi won the league 8 times, won the best player in that league 7 times, won the European best 8 times.
And he had two stolen Ballon d'Ors.
And gave more assists.
And gave more assists. So he's been terrible at PSG.
Forget of what Messi did before Ronaldo came to Spain.
He's like a fish out of water.
When he came, they played in the same league against the same opponents for 10 years.
Not the same team.
I said the same against the same opponents.
Not the same team.
I said against the same opponents.
Not the same team. That's the point.
The team makes a difference. But if they were playing the same
the coaches
team,
make a difference.
Just
explain the same opponents for 10 years. Messi won the league 8 times.
Just one thing.
8 times.
Just one thing.
Won the best player 8 times. Won the goal king for that league for that league 7 times. Won the European best. Let me be very clear.
Can you give yourself pause for just a few?
Scored more goals. Scored more goals than Ronaldo.
We always have to talk more because the facts.
I said scored more goals.
So
what are the facts?
But I just want to find out, how do you feel? I mean, people had said in the past that Messi was a one-trick pony, one-league pony, stay in the Spanish La Liga. And that is it. And we've been proven right. The first time he dared... No, hold on. I gave you your take. Ronaldo did it in Portugal, winning the league. He did it in England, winning the league. Everything that was available. He did it in Spain. He's done it in Italy. Your guy, a certain Lionel Messi, does it in Spain, yes. He goes to France, which is actually the 6th league. In fact, the least competitive league in Europe.
Portugal
and he scores 2 goals.
Portugal is number 1. Portugal is number 1. And with,
Anyway.
and when within the 3 goals, how many assists?
Staying on the football.
As a matter of fact, his team has qualified for UEFA. The team Ronaldo played.
It's teamwork. It's teamwork. That is the only thing that would drag along a certain. Before Messi came.
So that is why I'm saying that let's forget of the teamwork. Forget of what Messi did before Ronaldo came to Spain. When Ronaldo played in Spain with Messi 10 years, within the 10 years, the objective of every team is to win the league.
Yes, within that period, how many Champions Leagues did Real Madrid win?
Now you see. What I talked about, you said, it's a.
Oh yeah, but if you want to go that way, then I'll go that way.
Ronaldo won the Ballon d'Or. The team he played won the Champions League.
And you can see how our members of parliament are passionate about football, which is a good thing. How do you feel then about yesterday's performance when it comes to the Black Stars? 3-0 thrashing of Madagascar. Mohamed Kudus on target, Afanajan first goal. In fact, Osman Bukari as well. 2 new ones getting their first goals for the team. How do you feel?
Unfortunately, I didn't watch the match. In fact, I left the office very, very late because there was something I was doing. But I was elated, to be very honest. I listened to synopsis of the commentary, and I think I was elated. It gives me hope that we have, was celebrated when they won African Cup of Nations several times. Most of their players were local players. And I think for me, that is one very positive thing about it. I just want him to see whether we can identify some local players within the Ghanaian league. If we have such players also coming on, I think it will help the team.
All right, so as we discussed, we're going to be looking at Parliament and its work. But I want us to take a quick swipe before we get into those. And in agreement with you, we had this discussion. I want us to take a quick swipe at 3 issues. I was going to bring 2, but you added another one, and I concede. The first one has to do with inflation, especially food inflation, yeah? I got this from the Chamber of Agribusiness, Ghana.
Zumi.
Oh, yeah, you heard me talk about Zumi. So just consider this. A bowl of soya bean last month, which was sold for 12 cedis, is now going for 20 cedis, while a bowl of maize, which was sold for just about a little less than 8 cedis, is now 8 cedis this month. A box of fish was sold for 440 cedis, is now going for 575 cedis. And especially with fish, when you go out there and you buy stuff, you'd see that they are telling you fish that you were buying at 10 cedis is now all of a sudden 15 cedis. Salmon was 450, is now 550. A bowl of groundnuts, which was sold for 15 cedis in April, has increased by 2 cedis, is now sold at 17 cedis. 3 tubers of yam, you would have got that for around 35 cedis, now it's 45. Half a bowl of a small-sized paint container of tomatoes. Tomatoes, no, it's out of control. It was sold for 25 cedis. It's being sold now for 25 cedis, and it was 20 cedis last month. Now the Zomi bit, which you heard, 65 cedis just last month, now 70 cedis. Let me wrap with eggs, because that's also another crucial one. A crate of big eggs last month went for 32 cedis, is now going for 35 cedis. And all of these developments, I'll start with you, Doc.
Yeah.
Do you see this in your constituency? And
Well,
is that the reality?
The pain is not, let me say, discriminatory. Every part of the country is going through.
We all have our share.
And whether it's up north where they're actually making millet and all these things.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
it's
still
interesting,
going
isn't
through.
it?
Yeah, and it's not it's not surprising. I mean, the key thing about prices is transportation of goods, and the key index in there is fuel.
Yeah.
And everything runs on fuel.
Yeah.
And that is the fact. And once fuel prices worldwide have issues and are not controlled necessarily by government, these are expected. And then the other key thing, I mean, I've heard people trying
when
to...
he said are not controlled necessarily by government, Murtala gave me a look. He'll give
you a sigh. It's not surprising.
I know what he has is by you.
It's not surprising. but these are facts, and facts are facts, whether you like or you don't. The key thing is that worldwide, we all know that prices are changing almost every 3 weeks or so, and that is a fact. Whether you're an oil-producing country or not, you don't have the luxury of fixing your prices. Now, I think that personally, I beg Ghanaians, we all need to adjust, and as the appropriate word is maybe tighten our belts, in the sense that is the only way you can save some money. So if I'm visiting twice a week, I have to change that.
If you're going to, I mean, we've spoken to people who have said, I used to go to the hair salon maybe X number of times. I've cut it down because the reality is,
because I mean, salaries are not going up. That is a fact.
Yeah.
But our needs and demands are going up, and I really think that. And let me just say this.
And just briefly on this, because I want us to run
let me just say this
issues very quickly.
Once our constituency members are struggling, we are struggling as members of parliament, because
what does that mean for you? Because I know a lot of them come to you and they want this and they want
you
that.
know that, and that's why I'm saying that we are going through what they're going through. If there were 10 people coming to me for help, obviously now it's 20, and that drains all of us.
How much averagely do you spend on your constituents in a week, in a month? I've heard some interesting figures. Some people are talking about at least 2,000 to 5,000 a week. Is that your reality as well?
We can do that as an average, but
as an average,
because
you know why your
change.
Constituency is big.
The cycles
it's huge,
change.
in fact.
Yeah, the cycles change too. I mean, opening of school, you get hit. When they're vacating, you get hit. So some weeks you and you know, I mean, Charlie, these days we don't think about it. But you know, I really think that personally, as of yesterday, I was considering doing a series on what MPs really are supposed to be doing, as opposed to what.
Marcus, you want to run away from? Please, no, listen. You the MPs, you've established a certain trend. Follow the trend. Now you want to run away.
No. We need to brief.
You want to now tell us what MPs are supposed to.
We need to brief, our people, our constituents, so that they really appreciate.
All right, let me come to Murtala. Please, let's be quick on these, because I mean these are passing issues. You know, I want us to get into the meat of the matter. But
and before I forget, please, the watches sellers still add some more beans. I mean,
Dog, you kill me this morning. The watches sellers should add more beans.
We beg them, because it seems like now some of them, Charlie, they should add some more beans.
You kill me this morning. I said beans, no, but it's because of the price of beans.
I know, but
the price of beans has shot up.
It's watching without the beans inside. Now it's like, I beg them.
Is it plain rice you are getting or watching? All right.
I know he likes beans. I served in the same committee with him, going around the public hearing. Anytime we were going for our meals, if there was beans,
that's what he would go for.
Good morning. One of the few very objective members of parliament you find in the MPP, to tell you the truth.
But I'll say this, even as you start off on this tangent, I like your realism. You're very real on most issues, and I doff my hat to you for that. My imaginary hat.
That's why the Minister of Foreign Affairs want him out.
She wants you out. We don't have
this. The Minister of Foreign Affairs.
I beg of you.
I beg of you. This time my words, not your words, not his. But I'm saying that his constituents, he's a very fine gentleman. The Minister of Foreign Affairs. He can sit here and pretend. I have a lot of friends.
Okay, so we do not have any such information, and we dissociate ourselves from those comments, because I do not.
We are talking about.
You don't have any evidence.
We are talking about prices.
Evidence to support or substantiate.
The minister wants him out. A fine gentleman. He wants him out. We'll be happy.
Let's stick to the issues.
Let me just say that it is not true that globally fuel prices or crude prices are going high, and therefore it must automatically go high here. He also indicated that governments don't have control. The tax buildup constitutes 45% of it taxes on our fuel. Remove those taxes. If you remove them, the prices will come down. The Minister for Finance, this incompetent Minister for Finance, who is there because of his family relations with the President, the Minister for Finance told everybody in this country that we are now a net producer of crude. So when global crude prices go high, certainly there is a windfall.
He made a correction to that.
He never made any correction. This was captured in the 2008-19 budget, where he indicated that we sold, in fact, crude. We made a profit about about 2 billion, and then we bought what's the name, refined oil.
What you send out, you get less.
Oh, no.
You let him make his point. I'll let you come in.
This point here. Go and check the 2019 financial statement where he indicated how much you made as a result of the surge in global crude prices. When crude prices globally was about $60+ per barrel, we made about almost $300 million dollars as a windfall. Now, anytime there is a surge in global crude prices over $100, we are making $40 on each barrel. That is what it means. So you cannot.
But internally, when we also, the ministries, the departments, the agencies, they also buy at that price. So it's a give or take. You might end up with a Pyrrhic victory. Internally, in our own system.
But I'm saying that once you are now a net producer of crude, there's a windfall. So anytime prices go high, you make some profit. And that is why Nigeria cushioned their consumers by subsidizing the prices because of the challenges confronting us today. So you can't have any excuse. The taxes that you build, and I met my senior brother, Honorable Anta, the deputy minister. I still go through some of the press conferences they held, raising the same points I'm raising today when he was at ASEP. What has changed? So spare us that global crude prices are going high and therefore it is not. Government has absolute control. Remove the taxes. But you see, I'm a farmer myself. There is a fear. If we don't take time, there will be serious crisis by next year. I've seen farmers in the north who have decided that this year they are not going to engage in the production or in the plantation of maize. They want to move to soya beans.
That will be disastrous because maize is a staple, and even in
several farmers,
animal husbandry.
I know what I'm talking about. Several people. I did maize, but I want to do about 200 acres of soya beans. It's simple. And if you ask them why they want to do that, they can't buy fertilizer. And soya beans doesn't necessarily need fertilizer. So you go and find even those engaged in subsistence farming, they say, look, I can't buy fertilizer. And therefore, I'm going to engage in soya beans plantation. Once there is a ready market for it, you are not going to buy fertilizer. Of course, some who have the luxury, you can use fertilizer. But without even fertilizer, you can still find your soya beans. And for me, that is the danger. You have a government that has touted itself, planting for food. The gentleman now wants to be the president of this country. I can't imagine planting for food, yet there is a surge in prices of foodstuff in this country. Either they are not telling us the truth, or they think that we are a bunch of idiots in this country. But we are not. But see, last point. In all these challenges that are confronting us, he's saying that he thinks that we should tighten our belts. My brother, my honorable brother, the difficulty is that you people don't even have belt hooks. Now, if you are telling me that I should tighten my belt, and look, that if a person says he'll give you a hat, the first thing you do is to look at the head of the person and see whether he's wearing one. Now you tell us that we should tighten our belt. You don't have belt hooks. This government has increased the number of presidential staffers to an unprecedented level. You know the number? 337 presidential staffers.
I saw Okujato's
and all these people are also Article
71
office holders.
Right.
So the number of presidential staffers are now more than the number of MPs.
It is erroneous.
No, it's not erroneous. The budget line, go and check.
No, just make that final point and
let me come in.
Why would you come in? The budget for these officers are even more. So when you are telling the people of this country to tighten their belts, let the people see a demonstration of your willingness and preparedness.
Quick reactions.
Well, let me remind him that it's been agreed that 30% of salaries of these executives will be dropped. I mean, which we all know. Finance Minister said this.
Have they been though?
It's. I mean, as of when he said it, I think there was a timeline.
Right.
So Finance Minister made a press briefing and he said that.
There wasn't a timeline of about a month or two, something like that.
So let me just add that. Now, one key thing is that it's unfortunate that the addition of some of these services that were in other ministries, which were dropped,
are now being put on the presidency.
And now, for instance, even the ambulance service, which I think, personally, should be put under Ministry of Health. Is within the presidency. So these numbers that we are talking about are because of the ancillary services that have been sort of brought to presidency. And I think NAPCO is one.
Employ that route?
No. What I'm saying is that it is unfair to categorize or say that all these people are necessarily presidential staffers.
But you see, the problem is, Ben, by the way, but the problem is once you do that, you bring them under Article 71, and that's where the problem lies, isn't it?
And my key point here, for instance, I mean, ambulance services, look at, the entire conglomerate for ambulance, you know, the directors and all these people, but there are also people under who are working. And I really think that counting them as all part of the presidential, you know, staffers is wrong.
Ben, whether Jonah swallowed the fish or the fish swallowed Jonah, there was a swallow. Our focus is not about where they are coming from.
But it's important because at some point these were ministries which have been dissolved.
That is not
and that is also part of the
issue. The issue is that
reduction.
Article 71 office holders are going to be increased.
I'm assuming that some transition.
What transition?
To like, for instance, ambulance services.
That's fine. You see, this government, they don't get their priorities right, even in Parliament. He's a member he's a doctor of long standing. There are a lot of committees and boards on health. He's not in one. Do you know where they put him? Do you know where
Which
board did they
Why did you come on such a mischievous note this morning?
Because you see,
okay, you know what?
The incompetence
I want you to do
transcends the Flagstaff House.
I beg of you, don't find trouble for Dr. Aduma.
Yeah, really. Are you on me today?
Because it appears today from his constituency to the committees in Parliament.
No, you see,
don't find trouble for him.
I'm saying that they don't get their priorities right. Look, you serve in committees to one, not just learn, bring to bear your expertise.
But he's not the only doctor.
Hold on.
He's not the only medical doctor.
How many medical doctors?
There are so many of them in Parliament.
How many are they from their side?
Let's focus on
they put him on
it's okay.
Let's focus on today's topic.
But staying on the medical fund,
yes.
How does it make you feel? And these are two issues. Hopefully in some 5-6 minutes, I want us to clear, so I'll put them together.
Okay.
3,000 nurses have left this country since the start of the year. I have friends, nurses, doctors. In fact, some have gone to the UK, US, Canada. And currently, as I speak to you, some of them are sitting exams, doing certain things, putting in place mechanisms to travel out of the country. And what do they complain about? I think recently we've heard from the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. They are talking about poor conditions of service, poor incentivization, long hours that are And they're all leaving. 3,000. And when you look at the doctor to patient ratio, the nurse to patient ratio, it makes you even more scared because they are also leaving.
I'll tell you.
What's your he's a medical person. I want him to. So let's do that and also address your issue that we're also passionate about, the flogging in the Wana's office. So let's do this very quickly and move on.
There's one key thing. The demand for nurses has increased post-COVID, and the reality is that the Europeans and the Americans, North American included, which is Canada, are looking at increasing their health base. They lost nurses too, a lot to COVID. COVID took away.
No, we understand the fact that they would want more people because they need them. The question is, they are poaching from us, and it's so easy to do so.
It's easy because it's more lucrative to go on the other side. That is the key thing, and it's a painful thing. I think the Kufuor administration, did some things which, unfortunately, over the years we've sort of readjusted. For instance, even car arrangements for practitioners, and it's a painful thing. I really think that one, Labour Ministry and then Health Ministry needs to revisit this current trend.
Because the brain drain we used to speak about
is happening. It's happening.
Becoming very prevalent again.
Any single doctor lost to our shores is a heavy blow because he would have touched minimum 800
and look at the investments we make in them, apart from those who are fee paying.
Absolutely.
The subsidies and all
and
of
whether
that,
fee paying or not, I think that once we lose is a huge thing on our human capital. And human capital is very important when you talk of development. And I really think that is a crisis, and maybe we ought to make a statement.
Maybe it's something you ought to take up, because this when I saw this, I was shaken.
Yeah.
Ben, in my constituency in Tamale Central, I haven't realized that even within the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly and the health centers, almost all the major health centers in Tamale are found in Tamale Central, except the TTH, which partly in Tamale Central and partly in Tamale South.
That's the Tamale Teaching Hospital.
Tamale Teaching, the West Hospital, the Central Hospital, they're all in Tamale Central. I had a discussion with the Metro Health Director before our parliamentary primaries. And he told me that Tamale Metro alone needed a minimum of 15 health centers, and we had just 5. So when I was elected, I got in touch with the Qatar charity. And the Qatar charity, thank God, last week we commissioned a clinic. In fact, when the health director came, he said the nature of it is that it could be qualified to be a polyclinic, so huge. That's what I did. All the equipment, the facilities in that hospital, when I had a meeting with the mental health director before the commission, he said they didn't have money. So I had to buy those things for the hospital.
What things?
The facility, the beds and the equipment that they need to operationalize the facility. If not, the facility would have been commissioned, and it would take a very long time until such a time.
So where did you get this from? Your common fund or your personal money?
My personal money. In fact, I had to even buy some of them on credit.
About how much are we looking at?
Over 100,000.
Over 100,000 cedis. And you had to personally get that for this hospital facility?
I had to even take money. Unfortunately, I have to say this on air, but 60,000 Ghana cedis from somebody. Because I didn't want the thing to be commissioned.
So you took a loan?
Yes.
You contracted a loan?
A friend gave. I don't think I need to pay with interest. A loan.
But a loan is, I mean, you're taking...
Because I didn't want them to commission the facility. And because once they commissioned, without the things that will make it operational, it will be useless. Yeah. And again, in fact, last year, I paid 100% fees of 10 medical science students. Because of the economic conditions in many parts of the north, they qualify to do medicine. They don't have the means to. I paid for 10, and I promised that I'm going to pay for their fees till they complete the course. And this year, I'm adding another 10, so the number will be 20. So I'm using your medium, those who are willing to assist. No, honestly.
But I know these are things that a number of MPs go through.
I paid 10. You know, there were other medical science students whose parents could afford. But those who could not afford, and interestingly, they cut across politics. Those are some are NDC, some are MPP, 10 medical science students. And this academic, the next academic year, I'm paying for another 10. And I will pay the continuing fees of those I paid last year. Thank you very much. And next year, I'll pay another 10. So I certainly...
Similar to what the education minister is also doing for engineering in his...
So I certainly would need assistance. And I don't feel shy to make that...
We all have needs.
But you see,
we all have needs.
You see, one of the reasons, and I want to state a specific date, on the 24th of February, 2017, the Ghana Midwifery and Nurses Council,
Registered Nurses and Midwives Association,
they had their congress in Koforidua, President Nanado's home region. And in their communique, they said we had a deficit of 38,000 nurses. 38,000. Yet this government, because of egoistic reasons, reintroduced the nursing trainee allowances. Allowances they haven't paid anyway. Now, how can you introduce nursing trainee allowances, teacher training allowances, and gave them quotas? So if you have the Kolebu Nursing Training College, for example, or Tamale Nursing Training College, that has the capacity to admit, let's say, 1,000 students per year, then you tell them, don't admit 1,000 students, admit 500 students. Because
it's not really so.
No, that's a fact.
It's not really so.
That is the fact.
You ought to note that we've hired actually more nurses.
Can I finish?
In the past several years.
Can I finish?
You know that. We've cleared the backlog.
Can I finish? Another falsehood. Let me finish. I listen to you.
Is it true?
But I will respond to this anyway. Okay. What I'm saying is that it simply doesn't make sense that you want to expand and increase the number of nurses, considering the fact that even the communique I referred to, they themselves stated that we had a deficit of 38,000 nurses to be able to meet the WHO standard. Yet you introduce a nursing trainee allowances because of satisfying the uncontrollable ego of the president.
No.
Hold on. No. You do that and gave the nursing training institutions a quota. Certainly.
But the thing is,
can I finish?
Okay.
Well, your action is a danger to the health needs of this country.
All right.
The same thing is done to teacher training allowances. What President Muhammad did, and this is what we call visionary, he said, look, these are tertiary awarding institutions. Let's give them loans like we give tertiary institutions loans, so that we don't reduce the number of nurses we train in this country until this thing is reversed. I am telling you.
But what good is it to train several nurses and not hire them?
First and foremost, that is another. Can I finish? That falsehood which was also peddled, that under the NDC we never engage nurses. Go to the website of the Minister of Health.
It's not never.
You said between
2016 and with limitations.
42,000 nurses,
including a cap where you were even stopped from hiring. 42,000
nurses 42,000 nurses were engaged. 42,000. And I'm challenging.
And we've done more than that.
I'm challenging multimedia to find out the ratio now.
We've done more than 42,000.
On the 24th of February, which was 38,000, per their own communique.
Right.
I can tell you that we'll be getting to 50,000, considering the fact that more and more nurses
Let me quickly take your reaction to that, and then you'll wrap with the flogging. Now, at about 8:10, I want us to get into the parliamentary matters, and we'll just walk through them. That's fine. But your quick reaction.
So the key thing is, listen, one, when we came into power, there was a huge backlog in terms of nurses who had been trained and sitting at home. And this
There's
government...
still a backlog.
No, but
more than you even inherited.
No, that is not the case.
Check. Let him make his point.
We've hired more nurses, and to the extent that, I mean, on their watch, we had about 3 years, what do you call them, streams that were sitting home.
That's not true.
And it's come down to, if I'm not mistaken, almost 1.5 years, because some private institutions have been taken on, some haven't, per the hiring scheme. So I really think that what the current ministry has done, or the Ghana Health Service has done, is one, to absorb more nurses who were sitting at home. And I think that is commendable. And
thank you.
And it's unfortunate we're losing nurses to
There are a lot
Europe.
of nurses at home.
Let's move past the nurses. You brought this up, and I just want to take a look at it. It's also in your area. Yes. What happened? The flogging
in my area. It's in Upper West Region.
Yeah.
Northern region.
I mean, it's in the northern belt.
Because I'm a northerner.
It's also in the northern belt. But are you not?
I am a proud northerner.
So if I say it's
no, when you say in my
okay, so you were thinking I was referencing Tamale or the northern.
Yes.
Okay, no, the northern belt. Yeah. Please, are you satisfied with that?
First and foremost, I disagree with the flogging. I know. In fact, I got the information first from multimedia when my good friend Samson talked about the new law that is passed about leaking. The story we had is that this video or tapes I haven't seen were leaked by the lady.
We have 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
That's the allegation. I am totally against the flogging. It's dehumanizing. I agree. But the Ghana Bar Association, this is a bunch of hypocrites.
The Ghana Bar Association.
Yes.
Why?
Why?
They say it was dehumanizing and we must stop all those things.
I agree with everything they said about it, but I'm saying that they are a bunch of hypocrites.
The Ghana Bar Association.
Yes, but who doesn't know? They behave like an MPP wing. In this country.
Oh my God.
In this country. The Lamashana Palace in Tamale. Police gunned down a gentleman. The Ghana Bar Association didn't see the need to say anything. In this country, people who went to demonstrate and participate in an electoral process, they were gunned down under the instruction of the government. The Ghana Bar Association hold on, can I finish? The Ghana Bar Association didn't see a jot about what happened to those citizens. So they pick and choose what pleases them. There have been a lot of, look, in Kranza, when they killed that gentleman, where was the Ghana Bar Association? They were in an absolute state of incommunicado. So my problem with them is that, look, what is good for the goose should be good for the gander.
All right, point.
Now, Ghana Bar Association, the same Ghana Bar Association issued an official statement. When the NDC lost elections in 2000, said that they were never going to engage in political discourse again. This is a bunch of hypocrites. Other people can't do that. But for them, I have a problem because several incidences, and those I have mentioned, they didn't see the need. When this gentleman was killed, the military officer, Major Mahama, what did they say about it? When they shot down people at Techiman South and other places, at Ayawasu, what did they say about it? They were quiet.
Do you expect the GBA to come out on every matter?
It was a violation of the rights of people. It was an attack on our democratic processes. You had military who were commandeered by ministers of state to parliament. The Ghana Bar Association didn't see the need to comment. Who are they trying to deceive?
Okay, all right. But let me also ask you this. You are of, again, and I say this cautiously, northern extraction because you're from the northern belt. Sometimes, time and again, we see these things. This isn't the first.
Yeah.
We see these things, flogging and the rest. What do you think can be done? Because this was done in the Wana's palace.
The Wana, first and foremost, I'm told, was not even around.
I am told that, but he's been invited.
Yeah, I'm saying that he was not around. But we have had several instances where people have been banned, banished from certain communities in the southern part of this country. We've seen that. Isn't that also a violation of
it? It is, definitely.
Exactly. So where was the bar association? They never saw the need to issue statements about that. I am not condoning with what they did. I condemn it, and I don't think that it was right. But we have had several incidences. When you banish someone from a community in the democracy 21st century of Ghana, the Ghana Bar Association and other bodies didn't see that it was a violation of the rights of those people. Look, people don't have the right to take the laws into their own hands. The leaked videos, per what I listened to Samson, on your same platform, they should have allowed the proper bodies to take action, because it is even criminal to do the things they did.
Okay. Let's go to Parliament, and we're going to stay on some of these things because we're talking about violence against ordinary Ghanaians meted out by the police and the military. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Kingsford Sumana Bagbin, is tasking your Defence and Interior Committee to investigate these matters, to stamp out any possibility of military assaults on civilians, especially ahead of the 2024 polls. I'll start with you, Doc.
Yeah.
What do you make of this? Just call? Is it going to put the police and the military in a tight corner? What will this mean for civilians going into election 2024?
Personally, I've always said that our institutions need to be improved. And I really think that is what we should push for. Not just military, not just police, our accounting services, all services in the country need to be improved. And I really think that Parliament shouldn't be the place where we make that call, really. I really think that institutional heads need to be trained appropriately. I think that institutional heads need to be selected appropriately, no round pegs in square holes. And this, I'm talking from the fact that it is unfortunate that, first of all, our recruitment processes are bad. That is, and it cuts across all parties, and that needs to be looked at to the extent that, and this one, I think, like I said, both parties are to be blamed. That the recruitment is not as rigorous. Sometimes it gets influenced by party affiliation, and this is across all parties. And I really think that once our recruitment is made proper, then the people in the service will be people who are committed to doing professional work. So that has to be looked at. Now, beyond that, I think that even the ongoing training we give to our servicemen in terms of intelligence gathering, in terms of even how they conduct themselves in public, needs to be looked at. And that aspect of, and I love how the speaker said that, listen, you are civilians before you enter the service, and you are civilians when you retire. That was very, mind-blowing. I liked him for that. But what is important, and I need to say this very carefully, that as a nation, all of our institutions need to be carefully looked at so that everything is not necessarily on the president. Because if the health institutions are working well, if the education institutions in this country are working well, if the police service, military service, all these institutions are working well, Ghana would move forward and will be better equipped. And
do you feel that part of the problem? I agree with you, by and large, with a lot of what you're saying. But we also have the issue to do with jobs for the boys and girls and how, in our security, setup, we have both of your parties, we've had people come out and say
take
that
us out of this.
We'll take you out where and say that, look, I have got Asamoah and X number of people into the police service and all of that. I mean, without even realizing how bad that sounds.
And that is why I started off by saying that, first of all, as they say, garbage in, garbage out. And it's important. I've actually cringe. We've had some very bad policing, experiences. People who execute their own servicemen. That is serious. Yeah. It's so bad to have a policeman shoot another policeman. I just can't think about it and see how it's possible. But it has happened. And I really think that we really, as a nation, ought to look carefully at our recruitment, because we've unfortunately recruited some thieves into police service.
Criminals, basically.
To use a very moderate word. And I really think that I'm begging, from grassroots to the top, we need to be very mindful. If not, we are literally putting guns into armed robbers to come and rob us.
And when you look at our national security setup, national security, Ghana police, military, it's becoming problematic.
And I think that, one, the professionalism has to be upped, and then two, the skill set of the people who are recruited needs to be looked at.
When you look at the police, do you feel Dampare can do this? I mean, and I'm saying so in the context of the political ping pong that we play.
You know,
can he do it? He's a member of the executive, mind you. And it's the same executive that usually and you know gets people into.
I have my own reservations about Dampare.
What are these?
Especially, I mean, one, and let me say this on record, the over reaction of the police service in the public domain in terms of writing up and things like that, I really personally think is becoming a bit too much, where it's almost like a PR service. Because
the police is becoming a PR service?
I'm becoming a bit worried. And just recently, in as much as he may be right about his communication with
the UK High Commissioner,
it is totally unacceptable. Dialogue between countries are managed in a very different way. And I think that we need to carefully look at police communication. Right now, the signals are becoming too much. I've even stopped personally looking at all the police communiques because you
think it's over the top?
It's becoming too much. And I'll say this here on air, that when I was growing up, when an incident happens at a police station somewhere, it has to be taken through the processes to the district, then to the region, then to national. And these days, it seems like it's 2 minutes. An incident happens in any police station, and the next thing I know is on national and police is reacting to it. And administratively, there's a reason why you need to wait and gather all the appropriate information before you react. And I really think that we need to look at that. I mean, an MP gets stopped at airport. It hasn't even gone to the regional command in Accra. The next thing you know, national is responding. And I really think that that ought to be looked at carefully.
Right.
Because nobody manages an organization that way, where an incident happens in Tamale North or South or Central at an ordinary police station, and it hasn't been addressed by the regional body. Then we hear national making a comment about it. It is not right. Administratively, that one day,
this is where
I really think that
I think DSP Foray and Alexander Obeng may want to.
I really think that it is important that the processes, because you can have a local court handling a matter and then you hear the Supreme Court making a comment about it. It doesn't happen.
All right.
It has to go through the processes, due process.
All right.
And the expediency is just a new thing for me, because sometimes your comment impacts prosecution, your comments impacts or blurs the vision of the jury, and I really think that we need to be a bit hesitant,
more measured,
and measured in coming out, and the police service is to do groundwork.
So basically, the police, Dampare and his people, should tone it down.
Well, I think that the police service is not a communication service.
All right.
That is.
The police service is not a communication service. That's an interesting one.
And forgive me, I think I'm becoming a bit too worried, especially when we are rather even blowing up all cases in the media. I mean, it's almost as if every police case now is in the media.
In fact, if you look at the recent communication with the High Commissioner, it was restricted. It wasn't even supposed to. So the whole bit is how it even got. Yep. Your reaction.
See, that when the chief comes home with weird haircut.
When the chief comes home with a weird haircut.
What do you expect his subjects to do? The Gumbes have a proverb. Netang na chebaba on urum na chimba. They will come with tapiaju. The rotting of the fish starts from the head. That is the fact. Finito. It's a symptom of the crass incompetence of governance that we experience.
Everything has to go.
Please. I agree with him. Dampare should stop the showmanship. He's like a celebrity IGP. He should stop the showmanship. Crime is surging in this country.
The core mandate and responsibility of any police commissioner anywhere in the world, including Kosomokaya, is to ensure that people go by their daily activities mindful of the safety and security of they themselves, their families. That cannot be said. Yes, and that cannot be said about this country. Certainly cannot be said.
It's not too, I mean...
That cannot. I am saying that first quarter of 2018 under this government, by the same police themselves, their report, that we registered the highest armed robbery ever in the history of this country. Even during colonial days up to independence up to date.
Well, increasing population, you expect these things.
They took all those things into consideration. They calculate the proportions and others. If you see the document, you would understand. It has got nothing to do with population.
No, increasing population increases crime.
I'm saying that they look at the proportion.
Make your point.
So if a percentage of this, they juxtapose that with percentages of the previous years. So that is one. Two, you are talking about NDC. Please, don't invite us into the muddy filled water you play in. The NDC has got nothing to do with your recruitment.
Are you saying the NDC, when you're in power,
I'm saying that
you never have,
if you have the evidence,
people bringing people into,
let me use the word boss.
Services,
do you have the evidence?
Police,
no.
Military,
no.
and all that.
Boss.
No.
We see and we hear. We see and we hear.
This one there is official. This one.
What is official?
You have your national executive officers who said that a criminal gang such as the invisible forces and others, you disbanding them. Your national secretary.
Okay, so we seem to be digressing a bit. So when it comes to the bit about these services and what the speaker has said.
I am not digressing. What do we do? I'm not digressing. He moved from A to Z. You allowed him. I'm not digressing. The very place the speaker made that statement, one of the most important arms of government, if not the most important arm of government in a democracy, was attacked by the military and the police in uniform with guns. Coming events, they say, cast their shadows before them. The legislative arm, and in fact in a democracy, the legislature is more important than the other two arms, if you do not know. Because you can have a government without parliament, but you cannot have democracy without parliament. Now, this arm of government was attacked once again. Where was the Ghana Bar Association? With their hypocritical statements. This arm of government...
You are really on the Bar Association
I'm not interested in hypocrites. That's the point. Look at it. This arm was attacked. Look at me. And that day, people felt that it was all right. So if they could be commandeered to come to parliament with guns, armed to the teeth, what do you expect them to do when they meet ordinary citizens of this country?
So what the speaker has said, the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, what are your expectations? Just weave that in.
Now, he just said that he thinks that there's a problem with, square pegs and round holes. He said that.
He did.
When I was saying that a medical doctor, he's on a board on heavy equipment.
Oh, my goodness.
Heavy equipment.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's why I started heavy equipment board. So that's why I started. And how many doctors? They are not up to 3. Then he's on board on heavy equipment. He's not even on the health committee in parliament. So the rotten started from the head. I'll tell you an interesting story. When I went to parliament in the Chief Parliament, I requested to be on the Youth and Sports Committee because I have been a student leader. I've worked with National Youth Employment Program and others. Today, until we made noise, they were not advertising recruitment for young men and women into the security services. You are aware, under the NDC, every single year there will be adverts. They never advertised until we made noise in parliament.
I saw one recently for, was it the military?
Yes, I'm saying until we made noise. And I'll tell you one thing. If you observed, even with the military recruitment, you know what they did? They told their boys to wear white. Go and check the videos.
Where is your proof?
I said, go and check the videos when they were lined up in the various military enlistment. All those in long sleeves white were their boys. They told them that they should all wear white, so that when the people come, they know these are MPP boys. That's what they did. In this country, you have someone who claimed...
How did you come by this information?
Let them
I don't... This is
go
news
and check.
to me.
This
is news
if
to
they will
me.
put you in heavy equipment, you may not even know this. In this country, you have a young man who claimed he was selling phones at, what's the name? Tiptoe Lane.
Yeah.
He was a national security operative. Dampare is not interested in investigating to find out. When Sewa Brony alleged that people masquerading, no, I'm not going into them, people masquerading as national security operatives stage a robbery. Stage, that's what she alleged. You think that it is not of interest that the police IGP should be investigating? Because if people who, under the guise of national security operatives, can masquerade as, engage in armed robbery, granted that the story is true, how many armed robberies haven't we experienced where lives are lost? What if it is possible that those armed robberies too were also staged? So I'm saying that, look, the problems we have is the kind of leadership.
In 30 seconds for you both, are you expecting that this committee, let's move on. Are you expecting that this committee, I mean, setting it up and all of that, will change anything as far as the script is concerned? We've seen Idra, we've seen Akachi, we've seen
they increased the salary of the military, this government. Do you know how much they increased it? They should tell us how much.
Why? I think that what is very important is that the committee will come out with some recommendations, and I'm hoping that at least one of them will be about the recruitment process. And that is my biggest thing, that we make sure that how we recruit is appropriate, and how we recruit depends on people's skill set and people's devotion to and commitment to country and service to our fellow Ghanaians.
You people, the MPs, their MPs were asked to bring names. Constituency executives were asked to bring names. That's how they did the recruitment.
That is not the case.
If they didn't give you, then
we do not have.
He knows that. If
unless you furnish us with.
If they didn't give him, that's fair. But I'm saying that their MPs,
did they give you?
I'm not aware of that. The only thing we do, we go and plea.
Plea what?
You know, you make people
come.
People, you make a plea.
Your constituents, basically.
And that we could not plea. The plea was limited. The plea was limited to MPs.
As I sit here,
that they gave them.
No. As I sit here, constituents have come with their forms.
And you went and plea.
And are asking that, they've gone through medical.
So they come to you as MP. Senior. Can you?
And I don't look if you're MPP or not. And there are many forms. As I sit here, I have over 100 forms of military, prisons, and all these
over
things.
100?
Over.
On your desk?
Listen, you go and buy fuel and they stop you. They're like, hey, look, I applied, blah, blah, blah. And all you can do is receive it. So if he hasn't, I have over 100 forms with me. And
how many have you been able to plead?
So far, it's been tough.
But you got
It's been tough. No.
All right.
No, it's been tough.
Let's quickly look at.
Then they hit you.
Let's quickly look at this very important issue as well.
Your colleagues have gotten a lot.
Gentlemen, just a minute on this. We have, especially at the back of the Sir John and his last testament, what we've seen. The Conduct of Public Officers Bill has come to the fore. Cabinet being roped in, Occupy Ghana, stating its own points. The 2013 version, the 2022 bill that we're hoping will be passed into law. And it is crucial because there is talk especially about declaration of assets.
Mm-hmm.
Our asset regime, I sit here as a media person, is piss poor. You look at, I saw a list recently about those who have actually declared their assets from government and the chunk who have not. We have a 6-month opening. People are saying that must go. Because initially, when you look at the act, that was not what it was supposed to be. We gave a framework, created a loophole, if you like, and now people come in and say, oh, I'm going to declare. The other day, I had 2 members of parliament here. One said he had declared. The other said he was speaking to his lawyer.
Well,
only God knows.
For very good reason.
Some of us don't even have any asset because we never stole.
You don't have any asset. That is not true. Your farms and everything. You're a farmer.
Oh.
I don't say your assets.
When I was a deputy minister and a member of parliament, we are here, multimedia, behind. Have you seen Mexico Hotel? Mexico Hotel. Opposite. I stayed in a chamber and hall room for 2 years as a deputy minister of parliament and member of parliament.
You stayed in a chamber and hall for 2 years as a deputy?
Yes.
But is there anything wrong with that?
There is.
There is? What is that?
The Minister for National Security had to virtually threaten me out because of your safety. You see, these people, they have a desire for sweet things.
No.
You have presidential staffers who move with militaries, captains, not even police. I never had a police officer follow me anywhere. Because why? If I took a police officer, now presidential staffers, the 337, assuming they all have police officers, how are we going to control crime in this country? They live in state bungalows. Presidential staffers enjoy electricity free, lights free. I drive myself. And I drove myself as a deputy minister of state and a member of parliament for 4 years. Because listen, the state owed me, but you see, because it was my choice, my decision, that I didn't want to have an official driver. And therefore, I could not go to the state claiming that money. Here, 2 years. So I'm saying that these people, you know, I don't know, what is our crime? What have we done to you people in this country?
Are you talking from which perspective?
I'm saying, what have we done to you? Everybody is crying. You have a dialogue, Galamsey dialogue, anti-Galamsey dialogue, 5 million Ghana cedis a day, half a day. You think it is not worrying?
Wait.
Anti-Galamsey dialogue, 5 million a day, half a day.
How long was this? When was this?
You don't know. It's in the budget. You have, hold on. Let me make this point. You have the same government that use COVID funds.
We have COVID. The committee
he's a health.
And how it will help us.
We have COVID. Listen, we have COVID.
I thought that was your question.
The Minister of Health used 32 million.
We're actually now looking at the conduct of public offices.
The Minister of Health used 32 million Ghana cedis of COVID fund to drink tea. 32 million.
Those ones have been denied.
It's in the budget. You tell me they've been denied.
But when you look at all of this, our assets declaration regime, especially, because it's becoming very problematic. People have even said that, I mean, we could have someone submit a blank sheet of paper because it must be with, you know, is it the Auditor General's, and then at the end of the term, or when something comes up, then we go and take a look at it. I mean, there are so many loopholes. It is sad because now people are, look, when you go out there, people are telling you, you know, even when it comes to some taxes, I'll try to evade or avoid as much as possible because I'm not even sure that what I am paying.
I want to give a suggestion.
And while those on the other side, I enjoy the largest
suggestion, then you add it. Perhaps we should not just look at assets declaration.
We should look at what else?
Look at the wills of people.
We should look at the last testaments of people.
Yes, but for that, we wouldn't have known that someone can amass
from both sides, right?
Oh yes, I don't have any problem. I'm saying that, you see, our religious leaders and traditional authorities are not helping us. And as a Muslim, every single dime that doesn't belong to you, even as a member of parliament, wallahi, if you spend it on the day of judgment, you will account for it.
Even if you do zakat with it?
No, but you see, even if I want to take your money to do sadaqah, I should seek your approval. Now, if you spend money that belongs to 32 million Ghanaians, on the day of judgment, you will account to every single one of them.
Agreed.
But for the leakage, we wouldn't have known. We need to see their deeds. The ministers.
How do we solve this? Will the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, even if given, you know, the right attention when it becomes law, will it be the solution to this?
I think that from a Public Accounts Committee standpoint, we should be more accountable to the people. And being accountable to the people is not just your asset declaration. Is how much you're earning from what you're doing.
Because let me just add, it's not even just your assets, your liabilities as well.
Absolutely.
Because someone can have very few assets, but huge liabilities. So the person engages in corruption, but you can't even tell because you didn't look at the person's liabilities.
And that's why I'm saying that I think that it should be looked holistically. And if our accounting is improved, then no CEO, no public official can, you know, defraud the nation. And even if they do, the quantum will be much reduced. And I really think that over time, per what I've seen in our, you know, 5 weeks of touring the nation, I really can attest to the fact that gradually our accounting is improving. Regardless of the infringements we see, we are at a better crossroads than we were before in terms of, you know, the leakages within the civil service alone. And I think that we ought to push for more improvement in the transparency and accountability.
In pushing for that, let me ask you this. Dr. Adomako Kisi, Member of Parliament for Anyaso, have you declared your assets?
Yes, I had to before you know, going to elections. We, the members of Parliament, is one of the requirements. So, you know, for us, you have to. Before
Did you declare your assets?
Yes, all of us.
There's nothing.
Is the CEO?
So I'm asking you a question. Have you declared your assets?
What I even included books.
Have you declared your assets?
I did.
You did.
I'm saying I included
you
books.
Have to.
But you see, if you have a minister of state who has a chef in his office, a minister of state, a chef in his office, I mean, these people sometimes.
But what if he's paying out of his own pocket? What's your problem?
How much is the salary of the minister? So if he has a chef in the office, you have about 3 at home. How much is his salary? You see, that is the challenge we have in this country. People in other jurisdictions, your lifestyle, they can get an investigation into it. How the kind of lifestyle you live.
And I agree with that because we have people in government, people who have never worked before. You never saw them doing much. No, hold on. They get into government, whichever party, and all of a sudden they're able to afford houses in certain places where you are purchasing houses in millions of dollars and all kinds of things. But have settlements. And you ask yourself,
how did it come?
It's something that an ordinary Ghanaian, even working with these people's salaries, knowing their salaries, if you were to work for till retirement, you wouldn't be able to afford
sometimes we need to bear in mind that people leverage on their position, not necessarily, pay.
That is
true.
But what is that called?
He just said he took a loan of 60K from a friend.
Not a loan.
Mind you, he borrowed. Yes. He borrowed. If not for his position, somebody may not.
No, he's my family brother. So
yeah, but he feels that.
I'm sure they looked at you as a person.
Exactly.
And also
and listen, when I worked in certain jurisdictions in this country as a medical practitioner, Volta River Authority, for instance, the chiefs would be ready to even give you land, just so as a doctor you enjoy where you are working. And you know there are many doctors who, in the hinterlands, receive plantain and things without even asking for it, just to keep you happy with and mind you, I really think that sometimes we fail to recognize that certain people had certain assets before coming into government, and we quote unquote mistakenly bog them with all of us.
Even as we talk about these matters, though, because these are public matters, I don't want to forget this. I find this interesting. I wouldn't usually go to the messages because we'll have a segment for that. But Teria Anointing says, please, I am hungry. I'm a certified electrician and I don't have a job. So please, any work that can feed me. He even drops his number. So while we are talking about public accountability, privately, people are suffering.
Oh, absolutely.
I know a politician in this country. I used to come on Newsfile with him. And there was one day we came out, he was driving some Mini Cooper. And I said, but this is your car. So, I'm driving it because, Accra spaces. With this car, I can find a space. Today, that same politician goes with 2 big cars. Apart from the car he used it. Have the spaces in Accra expanded?
Is probably a security
Mini Cooper. Ask Samson last.
Probably
Samson is the one.
All right. Safety and security.
So what has changed?
And safety and security.
He is now driving when he is moving. Apart from the car,
in his
there are a class of politicians. They do what's the name? Check socks. That check, red and white.
You've just killed the whole show.
And they have some bundles.
You've just killed the whole show.
Insatiable desire for sweet things. One of them was driving a Mini Cooper. Newsfile here, I remember. When we came out...
It's good you are not dropping any names. Please don't drop any.
Now,
it's all right. I'm driving the Mini Cooper because of space.
Gentlemen.
The spaces in Accra have expanded.
I am grateful for your time.
The population is even increasing.
But today you nearly killed me with laughter. Don't do that next time. Murtala Mohammed
is on heavy equipment, a medical doctor.
Murtala Mohammed is member of parliament for Tamale Central. And we also have Dr. Dixon Adumaku-Kisi, member of parliament.
Stay on the topic. Stay on the topic.
We'll be talking about TVET training in Ghana. We're talking about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But how about TVET? Countries like Germany, many stalwarts, many countries that are making it out there, develop their economies based on vocational and technical training. How about Ghana? We have an exclusive conversation coming your way right here on the AM show. Do stay.
Good morning. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. Benjamin Akako just finished off with our guests discussing various issues, but it's now time to have a conversation on technical vocational education and training in Ghana. As you may be aware, government is on an ambitious drive to revamp the whole sector, focusing a lot on vocational education and training as a means of feeding its industrialization drive. We've been told the world over that that's the way to go if you want to develop a digital and industrialized economy. So today I'm having a conversation with Dr. Fred Asamoah, and let me just get the designation right so I don't have any issues. He is, quickly, let me just get that, the Director General of the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, and is CTVET here in Ghana. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Venice, and thanks for having me.
Okay, so I'll start off my conversation by congratulating you. I think you were awarded by the Ministry of Education quite recently for being the best under the ministry in terms of, you know, achieving all your targets and all. So congratulations. But let's talk about vocational education here in Ghana. There was a problem identified, and government set up a strategy to deal with this. For those who have not been following the conversation over time, tell us what that problem was, what governments plan to solve the problem, and how far you've come with that strategy.
All right, thank you very much. So in 2017, when the MPP government took over government, the president in his first engagement said, this country is not moving them as much as he wants, because if you look at the kind of jobs that are happening here, everything is being imported. Sometimes we are getting a lot of skills coming outside of country. And he had in mind the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. And if you look at all the countries that have gone beyond aid, and if we should take, for instance, Switzerland, normally we talk about Germany, but if you look, we go to Europe, the one that has the highest number of young ones going to technical and vocational education right now is Switzerland, 78+%. And how many natural resources do they have? How many, what kind of acreage of sea do they have? So if you look at that, all these countries are doing well, not because of the natural resources, because of the human capital, the human currency that they have. And at that time in 2017 too, not many people even wanted to have a conversation about TVET. If you look at, if you had to go back and look at data from, let's say, 2020 or 2000, the year 2000 to the year 2017, the amount of visibility and engagement that we have had on TVET is none compared to what has happened in 2017. So TVET wasn't part of the conversation. Every day we're talking about education, we're talking about people coming out with degrees. Even though we had less than 20% of our secondary school graduates proceeding to tertiary, it was predominantly more towards the grammar side. So there was no conversation at all. And that was when the government did the SWOT analysis to find out that if we don't do something drastic and fast, we're going to invest all that we can. We can put, government can put as much money in roads, can put as much money in health, can put as much money in the harbor and all that. Everything will come back. It'll be vicious cycle. So we needed to break that. So government, the president and cabinet approved the 5-year strategic plan to change the story. From 2018, that was when the first 5-year strategic plan that this country has really worked on started. Because if you look at the countries like Malaysia, Malaysia has gone through 5 of such strategic plans from 1980 up to now. No wonder they came to pick palm oil and other things, palm nuts from here, and now they are determining what is happening in the job market. They consistently have gone through 5-year TVET strategic plan up till now. So government said we cannot go through that number of 40 years. We may have to leapfrog. So the 5-year strategic plan that was put together, which had the governance and management of TVET, quality of TVET, increasing access, sustainable funding, and environmental sustainability. It was the 5 policy objectives of the 5-year strategic plan, spanning from 2018 up to 2022. So this year is the last year of the first 5-year strategic plan. In the past, we've not had a strategic plan that this country has consciously and effectively implemented. So this 5-year strategic plan said that we need to look at the governance and management of TVET. People used to go to MVTI, OIC, Ghana Education Service, ISES, CDVTI. It was scattered all over the place. So there's no proper focus for us as a country. Compared to other jurisdictions, when you go to Germany and I go into the bank, they'll be able to tell you what their TVET structure is. When you go to the hospital, they'll tell you same. When you go to the farm, they'll tell you same. But in Ghana here, when you come, nobody can really tell you what our TVET structure is and how are we working on. So the 5-year strategy plan required that we have to realign all TVET institutions to the Ministry of Education, which has led to the establishment of the Commission for TVET, and we have led to the establishment of TVET Service. It has led to the establishment of the Akintina Minka University of Skill Training and Entrepreneurial Development, and this has asked that now the regulation of TVET in the entire country should be managed by the Commission for TVET, and to ensure TVET is also promoted. When it comes to the delivery of TVET at the pre-tertiary level, we have put TVET Service in charge. So we don't have all these 19 different ministries dealing with it. When it comes to tertiary TVET, then our 10 technical universities, plus the new one that has been established to make sure that we have people trained. So from 2017, this is what the situation was. There was nothing happening. We did not have an identity for us as a country. Now we have this new structure. We believe in the next 5 years, when you come to Ghana and you ask for our TVET system, everywhere will be told. Because in here, people are now confused because now we are transitioning. So people get confused between the TVET service, the Commission for TVET, and all that. But now that it has been simplified, and as we go on the engagement and we carry out all the policies and the regulations and the structures put in place are working, we'll be able to have an identification.
Interesting. We'll come back to what you've been doing since you started this 5-year strategic plan and where you are now. But let's come to the issue of perception, because the ministry, in a statement that's available for all to read, does admit that technical and vocational education in Ghana has suffered an image crisis for some time. So you have people who would want to enter a profession, which is very practical, but will be told, go to the university first, get a degree, go and read what you call grammar courses. You made reference to that earlier. Go and read maybe sociology before you come and focus on your skilled venture that you want to enter into. Because people feel that vocational education and training is somewhat for people who are not so smart. How are you addressing that? Yes, on the policy side, you're doing something, but how are you making sure that the people who must enter these universities, you get the best to enter your technical training institutes so that you can achieve this, the purpose for which you set out?
The people includes you, am I correct?
Yes, definitely.
Do you have younger siblings?
I do.
What school would you want them to go to? Be honest.
What school I want them to go to is
after junior secondary.
A school that helps them achieve what they want to achieve.
And which one would you choose? Let's say between ATTC, Accra Technical Training Center, and Achimota, which one will you choose?
It depends on what they want to do.
But if they ask you for advice?
I will give them the advice that helps them achieve what they want to achieve.
Okay, so and I agree, so it's good. So the fact is, it's not about which school you go to. It's about the end game, the end product, because you don't want a ward that will go through about 10 years of education or 12 years or 20 years of education and come and stay home and not be able to do anything. We have people that have gone through, let's take for instance Asamoah, that have gone to the university, done a degree, first degree, gone on to do even a master's, that are even staying home now. That it's not because that's what they want to do. There are some that have gone through this same channel and after finishing goes back to a technical university and go and pick a program, study it, and they are doing well. There's an engagement with somebody in our community that had gone through to do even psychology and came back to come and do something on electrical and electronics. So, and it's all because everything is a product. Grammar education is a product. Technical and vocational education is a product. The perception from independence, the colonial masters had direction and a vision that they needed people to be able to assist them to do their work. The clerks, people to write it, the notes for them, put policies together. Ghana, we are very good at putting policies together, right? Then, and most of the time, during those times, all the timber that was being cut, what was happening to it? We're exporting it, right? The logs were being exported. Now we don't get to see much being exported. The cocoa beans was being exported. The gold, this is the Gold Coast. The gold, everything was being exported. Do you think at that time, our colonial masters had wanted these things to be done here? Switzerland boasts of the best chocolate. When it comes to watches and fine watches, they do them. Attention to detail, fine details, quality. So if you look at, we being one of the leading producers of cocoa from 1957 up till now, if we had the best chocolate manufacturing plants here, don't you think we would have trained people to be working there? And these people would have been earning so much, so every person would have want their kids to go to that. It's because the focus at that time was different. Now government is saying we cannot continue to do that. Because countries like Austria and the rest, they don't have all this, but their best is the human capital. And the human capital is not about how much I can sit here and speak. It's about how much I can sew your beautiful dress and make sure that your makeup is done and make sure that your microphones and everything is working effectively. Your necklace and everything, the gold doesn't have to go to Dubai, to their gold souk, for them to work on it, for you to fly from here to go to Dubai and buy them and bring them back. It's about our ability to be able to make sure that we convert these raw materials into a fine, usable product. And when we do that, we create a bigger environment, a bigger market. We're able to sell them. The owners of the company or the private sector will be able to make more money. So we don't have to have government payroll swell. Government is now the biggest employer in this country, but it shouldn't be. Government creates the enabling environment. And because the government payroll is looking for people that can read and write, that is why everybody wants to go there. But if the industry, and we have industries that are paying very well and are employing people with the skills, the digital skills, all the various skills around the 22 economic sector we have identified is there. And they are employing, they are paying well competitively. Nobody wants their child to go to a grammar school just to go through 12, 20 years of education and come and stay home without jobs. So the perception, one, because there was no job, we have not been able to market it well. Two, if you look at our TVET system, it wasn't structured. So there was no assurance of progression that when I start, this is my end. I'll be able to move all the way up to doctorate level, as we have right now. We have the National TVET Qualification Framework that one can move from level 1 all the way up to doctorate. Now there was lack of linkage because we never had in this country sector skill bodies that are coming from industry, permanently being there and being able to tell us that this is the kind of competencies that I need. And as I train people to meet that, when I come to Joy, or I go to GBC, or I go to any other media house, right? You have certain occupational standards that you expect. I cannot sit at CTVET and develop the curriculum and come and dump it on you. I need you to be sitting at the center and also look at the best practices, add it up, so that when I help together, we train, they'll be able to help your company grow. And that one too was not existing. And if we do the training together, we decide on the curriculum, we decide on the training, we do it together, and I bring 20 students to go through training here, I can bet you by the time they finish, 15 out of the 20 would have gotten jobs with you, because they would have learned the organizational culture, they would have built so much competency that it would be cheaper for you to engage them than to go out, put an advert, go through interviews and all that. So.
Yeah, Doc, sorry I had to cut you, because it's interesting you bring in the issue of apprenticeship when you mentioned that if people have to work. There may be parents watching us who are saying, okay, I don't know what your TVET curriculum looks like. You asked me if I'd want my sister to go to a Chimota or ATTC. So there's somebody who's thinking, okay, I may want my child to go to some of these schools to acquire general knowledge, as we call it, get exposure, okay, learn about other things like geography, economics, and then when they are done, they can come and get a specialized skill. What does the curriculum structure look like in TVET? And also, what are the other modes of training apart from maybe sitting in the classroom to get training on what specific field is chosen?
So when you, with the TVET qualification framework, if you, let's say you want to do auto mechanics, that's not the only thing that you had to study.
Okay.
Now we have the math aspect of it, we have the English aspect of it, we have the social studies aspect of it, we have the entrepreneurship aspect of it. So we are broader. Now we are even bring on board computer literacy, because it's a requirement. Now, if you want to be even a painter, you should be able to stay in your house, or when I get to your room, I should be able to take the measurements, and I should be able to have impressions of what my painting is going to look like. So as
artistic impressions.
Yes. So that's why we want to make sure that going forward, computer-aided design should be part of the training, so that people can be able to use digitization alongside with whatever they are doing.
So, Doc, you're saying that if a parent is watching us and they've had a conversation with their child about what they want to do, and the child wants to do something more technical, there's no need to go through the normal, for purposes of our conversation, high school route and then come back for technical training. They can go straight to a technical school, even from junior high school.
Exactly. You can go straight to a tech, because you are being made all round.
Okay.
Because now, when you get the hard skills change, because maybe the next time I come here, you might not be having these cameras. You might have a new type of camera. So when we train people, we don't only train them in the hard skills, but the soft skills, the collaborative skills, the teamwork, the discipline that involves to make one a whole person. So when you go to a technical school, you are not only studying the hard skills, but you're also adding on the soft skills. Then one thing Ministry of Education is working on, in other countries, we don't have dead ends. In Ghana, if you started as an electronics person, you have to take that same route. No. If I go through that and I get to, let's say, HND level or the degree level, first degree level, and I want to flip, I should have the opportunity to be able to flip. So now the ministry is working so that people can move both vertical and horizontal. But as it stands right now, if you want to go to TVET schools, you have the opportunity to learn other subjects alongside, and that is what we call the generics. That makes you a whole person. So if you're a parent and you are listening, you have the opportunity to let your ward go to a TVET school. They are not only going to learn the hard skills, but they will be learning other skills or other knowledge that they require to make them successful, so they can move up. So first we said that the academically challenged one should go to TVET. It's not true. Because the electrical installer who has to deal with CPUs, who have to deal with digitized system, who have to do calculation, has to be the sharpest one that can do the best and fastest calculation that you can, and can be able to think and be creative and come out with the best solutions, because it's more complex. Now, electrical installation is not easy. They use PLCs and other things that during our time, we never knew of it. We had to learn computer on our own. But now the kind of TVET training that is going on, if you have to look at the kind of equipment that are put at Ashaman Technical, and the same equipment being put at Accra Technical University, you don't need academically challenged people to go into TVET. And if this country will turn around, we need the sharpest ones to go into our TVET, because they are the ones that are going to be creative, be innovative, so that we don't have to continue importing these equipment. Government has spent so much money into bringing this equipment into the country. Are we going to continue to import them from China, Germany, United States? No. The same way China was able to manufacture them by learning from the Americans and the Germans, the same way that we can also will be able to do it. So we need the smartest one to go into TVET and move on to even to research and come out with new products and be able to manufacture them here. Is it the metal, or is it the chips, all the ingredients that you need to build a complete manufacturing plant? We have them here in Africa. So why is it that the 1.3 something billion economy, we are still importing these things from China and the rest? So we need the smartest ones to go in that, be consistent with what we are doing within, it might not, because educational intervention doesn't turn around within a year or two. Within the next 5 or 10 years, then we will start seeing the dividends for whatever direction we took.
You talk of importation of technology and equipment, but there's also sometimes importation of skilled labor, unfortunately, because we don't have a lot of people skilled in some of the things that you mentioned. Reminds me of a conversation we had on the Super Morning Show sometime last year about masons. And we had a lot of people call in to talk about our neighboring country, Togo, and how people from there appeared to be better masons and tilers than the people we have here in Ghana. So I'm looking at the document for TVET education by the Ministry of Education, and we are told that existing structures are being upgraded. One, to provide young people with the skills that will make them employable, enhance their livelihoods and create wealth, for example, through the One District, One Factory initiative, and also to ensure skills and TVET are the drivers of development across the country. Earlier this week, there was a story in the papers, either earlier this week or late last week, about nurses who are leaving the country because the conditions of service are not what they would want. So here you are training people so that they will be employable, but do we have a market ready to receive them? Are those industries that we are talking about, are they ready to receive the people who are being trained in these technical and vocational institutes?
So it's about quality, because you're talking about masons being imported from neighboring countries.
And also nurses leaving the country, leaving Ghana. We're told about 3,000 of them left just last year alone. So, you know, there's a drain. So the nursing training institutes are training nurses, but it's either there's not enough hospitals to absorb them, or they are not excited about the conditions of service in the places they are employed. So I'm saying that it's a two-way thing. You're here calling for people to come get vocational education and training, but as it stands now, is there a ready market? You're making them employable, you're giving them the skills, so that we don't end up training people who will eventually be sought out elsewhere, and then we're still back to square one.
Okay, so let's pick them one after the other. First, with the nurses. If other countries deem it fit that our nurses meet their standards, then it's a good thing. And I'll be very happy about it. Because we have countries like India that has trained so many people in the IT world that is being employed in the United States. So I'll be very happy. That tells us that our training is good. Then let's come back to the masons, right? If now we're still having people bringing mason and tilers from neighboring countries, then it's because our market itself is not happy about the quality and the standard of our training. And that is the cause for worry to me. And that we need to move as fast as possible to change the products that we are producing. Because it's not meeting the demand of the market. The demand is not only in the quantity, but it's also in the quality. Because industry demands, you supply to meet that demand. So therefore, we need, as a matter of urgency, tells me that there's available market right there that we need to train and meet that demand. And the reason why neighboring tilers and other things are being accepted in Ghana is not because Ghanaians are not smart. They are. There are Ghanaians that are being trained here that are very good and have good sense of a good ethics, work ethics, and that meet the standard and the quality that one wants for. But because the training that happens in other jurisdictions is based on certain standards and structures, they're able to come out with good products. And now in our system, there has been a lot of informal training, about 80 to 90%, and that is what government wants to reverse it. So for me, there is a job market. If you look at electrical installation, now we are licensing electricians. What is the quality of our training? A lot of them are training in informal sector. We just went to Namibia to compete. The guy that represented Ghana came second, competing against South Africa and other giants in Africa, came second. So if that standard of training can be extended to all TVET institutions, then of course we'll be able to produce the quality that this country needs. So we don't have to, because we are importing, there are countries, there are jobs in this country that they are bringing Chinese and other people to come and do them because they think that is a high quality job. And our learners or our products get to do the menial ones, the ones that is easy to do. We need to train to meet that complex. So yes, there is a gap. If you look at our skill gap analysis that we did, which is available on CTVET website, you can see that the industry here is saying that there's a gap. So why can't we train to meet them? So there's a gap. When we're able to train to meet the demand, there are off-takers to take them. But we will even be better if we can train enough that will meet the standard of the local market and the international market. Those that will go outside, I can bet you, when they get jobs and do it outside, they even come back with more experience to improve on what we do here. Because we live in a global and a competitive market. It's very close. So I'll be very happy if we can train enough people for our local market and some of them can meet the standards of outside world.
Doc, we'll be wrapping up our conversation shortly, but your commission and the Ministry of Education will be establishing 32 state-of-the-art technical and vocational education training centers, and this is going to be across Ghana. Tell us more about that.
Yes, so the NPP government in 2020, as part of its manifesto, which promised that they want to complete the implementation of the 5-year strategic plan. One of them was to consolidate free technical and vocational education. If you realize, those that were under Ghana Education Service, about 24,000 of them were benefiting from the free secondary education, which invariably was the free TVET. Now, in the promise, it said, let's consolidate free TVET. And obviously, with the passing of Act 1049, now we have free TVET for all. That is what has jumped the numbers to 44,000. Then it also promised that we will complete the 32 state-of-the-art TVET centers across board, because we need to improve on the number of spaces available for TVET graduates or those that want to pursue the TVET side of education. And it's been phased into 3 parts: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. As part of meeting the commitment, His Excellency the Vice President will be cutting sword for the first phase of the project, which includes 9 centers. The first one is the Center of Excellence is in Ashanti region, Abrenkesi in Ashanti region. Then we have categories. We have 15 category A's and 16 category B's. all the new regions, because remember that we can find grammar institutions and universities across board, but we don't see tertiary TVET or pre-tertiary TVET across the regions. So all the new 6 regions, each of them is going to benefit from the first phase, 1 each. Then Eastern region, Achimewisa, will benefit from one of the category Bs. Upper West in Tolibri will benefit from one of the category B. So the first phase, which is over 100 million US, that is about 159 million euro project, will be sword will be cut for it on the 6th of June in Ashanti region, precisely at Abrenkesi in the Bosomtwe constituency, and we are inviting all to come and support His Excellency the Vice President, to bring into fruition the vision of the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Doc, we are talking about going digital, and is there opportunity for people who want to, so let me use myself as an example. I'm already employed, I'm a career woman. Do you have e-learning opportunities?
Yes. So these are what we are going to be seeing in the next 5 years. You know, under Ministry of Education, we have Sendelos, which is the distant learning agency. We are working collaboratively to see how best we can convert most of our curriculums into a digitized form or virtual reality form, where people can take courses online and at a distance and at your own pace. Many a times, if I want to fix my car, I go to YouTube and start learning some of the things there. So we want to make TVET learning easy and available to all, apart from going through the formal system, so that it become attractive, become more engaging, so many people can go into it. Then also with skills, the way the world is going, we've moved through first, second, and third industrial revolution. We are in the 4th industrial revolution. The 5th industrial revolution has already started, and it's more of a digitized world that we have to change everything and make it digital. Now the commission, we've started using government's digitized system, the smart workplace system. We are moving our registration, accreditation online, assessment and certification. In few years, we will not be doing the normal analog or paper examination. We're going to be moving all technical and vocational examinations digital, so that issue about cheating, issue about cutting corners can be managed. Because when it comes to TVET, it's not grammar education that you can chew and pour. It's about electrical installation. If I make the little mistake, I can kill the same way a medical doctor or a physician can kill. When it comes to sewing your clothes, it's not about just assuming. If I don't sew it very well, either it's going to tear, or it won't fit you, or when you wear it the first time, it's going to burn. So it's about quality. It's about training people to be competent. Either you are competent or you are not competent. So we are moving everything digital. Most of the things, gradually, we are putting the infrastructure in place. As soon as the infrastructures are in place, we will make sure that we can also compete with the world. So if, let's say, you go through training in tourism and hospitality, your certificate should be so much authentic that somebody in Switzerland can authenticate digitally. I don't have to go through paper system and say that, yes, this training that you have acquired meets the standards. And so there was no, inaccuracies or no questions about what has been done, so we can move and be competitive with the other countries. If we don't do that, it doesn't matter the investment government is putting in this country. The only thing that can turn our fortune around and make Ghana beyond aid is to make sure that we have the human resource. Everything, the planes that we are flying, they are not made by angels. They are made by human beings. When can we also make them? And this is where we can go about it. We cannot cut corners, we cannot jump, but we have to go through the process, but at a fast pace. We need to get more than 50% of our young ones going into TVET. There will be competition, there will be creativity, there will be innovation, then we can get the product here. A lot of research will go into TVET, then we can start producing the product here in our country. This is what the president wants to do. He has started it, he's made the bold decisions, and the bold investment that this country has ever seen in a long time. If you look at what has happened in the past 5 years in TVET, it hasn't happened. We are hoping the next 5 years is going to see same, and another 5 years is going to see same. Then we all be happy in Ghana.
Doc, before I let you go, just a bit of clarity. You mentioned earlier about the free TVET education. What level is that at? Senior high school or tertiary?
It's at senior, up to senior high school. But I would say up to tertiary, because now the no guarantor policy is also going to be launched on the 8th. So that's is the best time for us in Ghana here. We're cutting salt for the 32 state-of-the-art TVET centers. One of the investments that government did with the upgrading of all the NVTIs is going to be done on the 7th. Then on the 8th, and by coincidence, the vice president will be leading all these activities. On the 8th, the no guarantor student loan policy will also be launched in Kumasi on the 8th. So to me, I think there's no excuse for anybody not to be able to go to education, and most importantly, TVET education.
So what if I've started apprenticeship with someone at the moment? How do I transition? Or is there a need to transition into your system, or I can still go through that route and still get a certification? Yeah. Can I just learn on my own and come and take the exam?
You can learn on your own and come. Yeah, that's why now we are implementing the recognition of prior learning. The recognition of prior learning, we have accredited some centers that you can walk in, then they can assess your skills and see where the gaps are. If, for instance, you want a full certification and they say you have gone through a first degree, obviously you would have met the English and the maths aspect of it, so you don't need to do it. So we have to look at the trade test. Then the trade, they can test and assess you. If you're able to meet all the modules, then of course you can be given that certificate. But if you don't and there are gaps, then they will take you through the training for you to be able to get the certificate that you need. People are going through the formal system. Now we have almost 45,000 that are going through the formal TVET. There's over 60,000 places available, about 50-something thousand has been placed, and we are hoping that by the end of the year, we will have close to 50,000 learners going through the TVET. But there are some in the normal mainstream that will also want to benefit from TVET. Government, through the Jobs and Skills Project and the Ghana TVET Voucher Project, is also giving opportunity to another 50,000 people that can go back and get trained. So you could have come from KNUST, you could have come from Legon, you could have come from a secondary school. You have the opportunity to go back and take advantage of these facilities and retrain yourself. Then, of course, the recognition of prior learning, which is the RPL, also will give such a person or yourself the opportunity to be certified.
Doc, thank you so much for coming. In our conversation, you've been mentioning electrical engineering a lot. I don't know if that's what
I get to love it.
Yeah, is that what your skills are?
The two skills that I love very much is plumbing and electrical and electronics. Why? Because if you don't do the right, plumbing works, okay, you can get drowned easily. And if plumbing is not working very well in this building, nobody can stay here. Same applies to electrical and electronics. So I love these two for some reason.
Okay, but
I'm learning. I'm
you
learning.
Are okay. I was going to ask you that.
With skill training, it's lifelong.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old you are. When we went around with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, and when we got to SYMVT at Swami, there was an 84-year-old man who is taking advantage of the Ghana TVET project and going back to train. Same happened at Atomic. That was a 75-year-old doing electronics. consumer electronics. So with skill training, it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 80 years, you could be 60 years, you could be 10 years. As long as you have the interest, you have the opportunity to go back.
But run us through the other things you train people in besides the plumbing,
electrical and electronic. We are doing across.
Okay.
We know with the Jobs and Skills Project, government is developing comprehensive curriculum for 100 trade areas.
Just mention a few so that
a few
people have an idea.
mechanical. Mechatronics, you know, mechatronics is something that has supported the industrialization agenda in Germany and another place. Autotronics now, all the vehicles that are coming, you can, if the carburetor system is no more, now you can.
Things are changing,
So now all this is autotronics is part of it. Jewelry, if the state of the art that is going to be established, the 32 Center, one of the trade areas that we are bringing back is jewelry. Because jewelry, we have gold here, we are exporting gold, but jewelry skills is getting out of the system, it's getting lost. Only few at Osu and some other place. When you used to go to Kumasi, around Menchia area, we have a lot of goldsmith. How do we bring this back? So we are working on it. In terms of interior decor and all of that. So we're cutting across. Hairdressing is just one of them. Okay. So now we have sector skill bodies that will be focusing on each sector. We have identified 22 economic sectors. We have inaugurated 11 of them. One of them is beauty and wellness, and hairdressing, cosmetology comes under beauty and wellness. So TVET is not just a couple of skills. Masonry, carpentry, auto mechanics, welding, they are just a few. We can be boasting of not less than 200 skill areas that one can be able to take advantage of. So one thing, we are also working with Ghana Education Service to catch them young. So the career guidance and counseling project that we are working on with GES will be extended to all junior secondary schools. So the young ones will be exposed to the various economic sectors and the various trade areas that are available. When you come here at your workplace here, we have a lot of jobs available here. How many people are previewed to the jobs? The electrical installer here could even be a trainer that we can assign a student to come here. You shouldn't be at the electrical shop, but we can assign a student that can be working with your electrician continuously and learn other things alongside. They can understand the business.
I appreciate your time here this morning. Dr. Fred Che Asamoah is Director General of the Commission for Technical, Vocational and Education Training here in Ghana. And it's been an interesting conversation this morning, and we've been focusing on how TVET education can move forward in helping us achieve our industrialization drive. You can get onto their website. It's just type CTVET Ghana and you get the link. You can read more, get more interested, and hopefully we'll be able to.
Bedis, thank you very much. The funny thing is we are on TikTok.
Oh, are you?
We are on all the social, because TVET is now different thing. It has to be sexy. It has to be attractive.
Okay. Interesting.
So everywhere you
TikTok,
can
Facebook,
Instagram, LinkedIn,
Twitter.
We are all there. You can find it there. But the website is www.ctvet.gov.gh.
Thank you so much, Doc. So you just get onto the website, get onto all the platforms and follow the CTVET. And if you're interested, you just heard about an 84-year-old who's gone back to study something. Acquire a skill, who knows? It may be your lifesaver, considering economic hardships and all that. I was telling a friend, you'd always need a hairdresser, you'd always need a caterer, but who knows?
Shortest spot. But what we are doing gradually, you will see that the skill set will be changing, the quality of skill delivery will be changing, and we'll be able to see some difference. So let's keep faith and let's keep working at it, and it's going to be better.
All the best with that launch you're going to be having. You're watching the AM show. Benjamin will be joining me shortly after this. We'll be taking your comments. As always, you know that we're willing and eager to hear what you have to say about the issues we've been discussing on the show. So just stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Thank you so much for staying here on the AM show. It's now time to hear what you have to say about the major issues we've been discussing. Just gone by was that interaction I had with Dr. Fred Asamoah, Director General of the CTVET, and it was an interesting conversation we had about government's agenda. Also, my colleague Benjamin Akakpo had a conversation with some MPs, and they discussed a wide range of issues, including police and military brutalities against ordinary citizens. And we know that the Speaker of Parliament has been given the findings from that particular inquiry into what happened in Wa a while ago, sometime last year, where we're told military recruits went onto the streets brutalizing citizens, and there will be some compensation for them. But what exactly do you make of all these things? Also because quite recently we have heard concerns about the actions of some service personnel, especially the Ghana Police Service. You can call us 0302 211-691 extension 2, 0302 211-691 extension 2. While I wait for your call, though, there were some comments while we were having that conversation on technical vocation education and training in Ghana. Louise thinks that government should rather make TVET free, not the entire senior high school, so that TVET can be seen and its education to the public will be sent to the grassroots. He believes TVET is the future of the country, and this TVET system will be run like the way they're running the country, as it's a shift system, and the students on every vacation will be sent to shops to get attachments, and he thinks that that should be by force, like the way after university. I'm sure you're talking about national service. He thinks that that will help. Louise is also asking for the name of some TVET centers. So you can get onto the CTVET website and you get all those. There are quite a lot. Akwesi Atafrimpong wanted to know what his department in Ghana can do so that there is a common certificate like a WASI certification. That was answered in that interview. And Peter is wondering why elective physics and elective mathematics or engineering mathematics is not part of the curriculum of TVET institutions. So, those were some of your comments while we're having that conversation. But we have Bafo, who's joining us from Sunyani. Please, when you call us, listen to me over your telephone and not the TV, and go straight to the point. Hello, Bafo. Thank you for joining the program. Let's hear you.
Hi. Good to have me. Please, my contribution is on the TVET issue, the one that you have with the man in the studio. In fact, I like this presentation. I mean, it's a laudable idea that I think we should all support. But what I didn't sort of appreciate is like he kept bringing in politicians. I mean, you know, we are in Ghana, and the next time the government is not in power and there's another government, they will say, oh, we didn't start it, and so we will not continue. So I'll beg these people, they should always be bringing politicians. I mean, he could have brought in some educationists, some opinion leaders. We have a lot of renowned people in the country. But trying to all the time politicize things in Ghana, next time it's just a nice program. Before you realize it will go out of hand, and these politicians, they keep destroying our country. So please.
I appreciate your comment, but this is the Director General of the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education Training in Ghana. And so I appreciate your point, but that's who he is. Obviously appointed by government, but he is the Director General, almost like speaking to the Director General of the Ghana Education Service. But we appreciate your comments. Thank you so much, Pa, for well taking. He thinks that the conversation should go beyond politicians and other opinion leaders and chiefs in the country. Okay, Engineer Wilson is joining us from Cape Coast. Hello, thank you so much for joining the program. Let's hear you, sir.
Yes, I want to join the program.
Please go ahead.
Yes. The TVET thing that you are talking about is very laudable. But my problem is with the politicians. And again.
Hello, Engineer Wilson. Yes, please. Can you speak up a bit? Unfortunately, we lost him. He was making a comment about that TVET conversation we were just having. Too bad. Please, if you can call back, I'll be glad to take your thoughts on the TVET conversation. So there are a couple of stories, like I said, we've been discussing. We're talking about the hike in food prices, the possible hike in food prices. You know, the fuel has gone up again, and how that translates for you as a business person, and what it means for you going into the second half of the year. Isaac is joining us from Takrade. Hello, Isaac.
Hello.
Hi. Please speak up. Let's hear what you have to say.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I think the TVET is a very nice program. But my problem is it that you walk to the TVET center and you just go to register, or how is the process going to be like for the registration?
So go to the CTVET website, and when you get there, there is a portion where you see the home, about, news, media, and then you see Smart TVET. So there you can register. You can even, apply to take an exam. You can apply for certification. So you get onto the website, and then you can put in your application process. Fatau is joining us from Tamale. Hello, Fatau. Let's hear you.
Yeah, madam. They should also introduce it to the tertiary institutions, like nation side, for instance. Some of us, we completed 2019, and yet we are still sitting at home. We don't have something doing.
You went through vocational training, Fatau. Are you saying you went through vocational training?
No, I didn't went to vocational training. But when you look at other tertiary institutions, there are no more jobs. You come out, you complete school, you come out and be teaching. Like nursing field, for instance, they have disappointed us.
So what did you study in the university, Fatau?
In the nursing edition, you come out and be teaching.
Please, did you train as a nurse?
Yes.
Okay, and you don't have a job?
I was still sitting at home, 2019, community health nursing.
Okay.
And yeah, they are still bringing out forms for people to apply. I don't know what they are. And there are just northern region, Tamal Metro, there are some chiefs compounds, just the nearby villages. No community health nurses in those chiefs compounds.
And have you visited the health directorate? Have you visited the health directorate in your communities?
The health directorate. When you visit them, they even our district, just last 2 weeks ago, they went to the health ministry. They didn't, the feedback that they gave them, it was not encouraging.
All right, Fatau, we'll follow up on this for you. Thank you for joining the program. So for Isaac, who called earlier from Takrade, what you're seeing there is the website of the CTVET. Can we click on the Smart TVET just up there before media, just so you have a fair idea of what to do? Great. So once you get there, you see CTVET admissions. You have there, and then you have assessment and certification is the next one. Job and skill service, then you have accreditation, and then you have registration. So that's it for you, and I'm sure once you go through the process, you will be contacted on what to do. Lizzie is calling us from Dansuman. Hello, Lizzie. Thank you for joining us. Let's hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Please, I was watching the news on JoyNews and about the TVET thing, and I would like to inquire, is it also available for tertiary institutions, or I just want to clarify.
So we have, like the Director General said, we have it at levels. After JHS, you can do technical vocational training. So you can go to a place like ATTC. We have other schools. They are hoping to set up some more centers across the country. And also at the tertiary level, you have the technical university. So like Ho Technical University, Koforidua Technical University, and all the others that can help you get the skill training in TVET.
Okay.
Yes,
so has the tertiary institution started with it yet?
Has started with the TVET training?
Yes, please. The TVET training.
Yes, they have. They still do, actually. Yes, please. Yes, please. But if you have any further questions, please just go to the CTVET website and then contact the commission, and I'm sure they'll furnish you with all you need. Right. So there you have it. Quickly wrapping up our show. If we don't have any caller, Lizzie will be our last caller. And thank you all for calling. I wish Engineer Wilson would have called back. He was making a point about the CTVET conversation that we had. And hello, Lizzie. Are you still online? Well, we seem to have lost Lizzie there. Well, that'll be it for our show today. Okay, I'm told we have a last caller. Hello, Prince. Hello, Prince. Hello. Too bad, too bad. We seem to have a problem with our lines. Hello, Fred. Good morning.
Yeah,
You'll be our last
morning,
caller.
madam.
Hello, Fred. Yeah, let's hear you, please.
My name is Fred, calling from Takwa.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, madam, thanks so much for this fantastic program. We are very much impressed with some of this education. This is what Ghana needs for us to develop into the next level of evolution. The technical education should be the best. But what is drawing us back is investment. The technical education, not that it's people who are less endowed in mental level who goes there, but the needed material, the needed instruments we need to develop to our people are not there at the technical institution. So therefore, people who want to advance higher find it very difficult to go there. This reading and write and calculating is not helping us. We need to develop our youth to do something with their hands.
Thank you, Fred. We have Engineer Wilson back. Thank you so much for calling back, Engineer. Let's hear what you were saying earlier.
Develop our youth to do something with their hands. Thank you, Fred. We have Engineer Wilson back.
Thank you very much. The TVET thing that you were discussing is very laudable. It's very laudable, but I am afraid the politicians will always hijack it.
Hello, Engineer. Please talk to me. Don't listen to yourself on the television. There's a bit of a delay.
I'm not sitting around the television. What I'm saying is that the TVET thing that you are discussing, I'm not even close to the television. I'm not close to the television at all. What I'm saying is that the TVET thing that you are discussing is very laudable. But the politicians, I'm afraid, hijacked them. And even the man whom you are interviewing, you asked him of his background, he couldn't say it. Meaning that it is always talked with politicians, people who know nothing about technical education. I have went through technical education up to this level. I'm a retired engineer. And instead of getting people who are knowledgeable in what they are talking about, it's all bookish. So I'm afraid they should get around people who know what TVET is. People who know.
Well, thank you so much for calling back, Engineer Wilson. They're ending our interactive segment on the AM show this morning. Really appreciate that you could join us. Before I go, let me just congratulate the Black Stars once again. And I hope for all of you sitting at home, the love is coming back. We wish them all the best. This is just the first of a couple of matches that will have to be played, but kudos to the guys. And up next is News Desk with Aisha Ibrahim. Do stay. We'll be following up on the major stories and the latest development on them. And this has been the AM show brought to you by Bernice Abube Dulansa and Benjamin Akakpo. See you again, God willing, tomorrow. Take care.